So we want to welcome everyone to the well, I said new edition, new episode of the New Jack Swing podcast. Myself, Mr. VJ, Stevie, and Mr. Andrew Knight. How are you guys doing?
Good, good. I don't think we've got any brain space left after coming out with this list. It was a lot of changes and a lot of heartache. Big bits out, and so it's been an interesting one to try to compile this list.
Yes. Anyway, we'll get to it, but I just want to see how you guys have been. So VJ, how's your week been?
Week has been good. I've just recovering from traveling, so back in the zone, back in London time zone, UK time zone, just working away. So it's been a good, productive week. And I've obviously bought some music. So yeah, it's been a normal. It's been back to business as normal for me. So
Okay. Well, hey, Last Exit Brooklyn, welcome, Big Mike. Full Body Joe says the Control album started the New Jack era. Okay, that'll be interesting. Well, we're gonna have a lot of debates, Full Body Joe. So, Melodic, how you doing? So, everyone, this is gonna be a fun episode. But anyway, let's introduce Stevie. How's your week been, Stevie?
I'm very much bingo bongo, as my West African friends would say, in the Congo. And may the fourth be with you all.
May the fourth.
yes,
Guess who's just joined in? The legendary recording engineer, mixer,
Oh, wow.
and producer, Mr. John Marie. What an honor, because he was probably around with a lot of these hits and stuff. So, thanks, John, for being around. An amazing storyteller as well. And Mac, how you doing? DJ all day. Andrew, how you been?
Yeah, I've been good, man. I've been really good. Super busy with just day job stuff. I don't want to bore you with all that, but that's it. But then I think for me, I was on the plane to California to visit my girlfriend, and I was working on the list at that point because that was the only time I actually had brain space to work on this. But it was fun just to go back into time, remember the songs. And I surprised myself because even though I am a Jam and Lewis stan, right? They didn't dominate. Well, okay, they did 3 out of 5 were Jam and Lewis, but Teddy and LA and Face, they absolutely made their presence felt pretty high up on my list. So that was really cool. I love this exercise for sure. Yeah. So you think for yourself, but then you surprise yourself.
Yeah. So for those who are joining, and I know we've gone over this list and the rules of what we're doing is we respect LA and Babyface, Jimmy and Terry, and of course Teddy Riley. What we did was between 87 and 92, we wanted to get a top 15 list, 5 minimum from each of the producers, the production team. But the catch is you couldn't have more than one of the songs from the same, more than one song from an artist, and you couldn't have more than one album. So even if you had a soundtrack, you couldn't get, say, Mo Money soundtrack or what's that word, a house party soundtrack, and just pick 2 songs there. So it meant that if you had a Bobby track, it's either you go Prerogative or Don't Be Cruel, or you go the Bobby album, but you could only pick one track from Bobby. And so so the idea really was to really let us just make sure we could celebrate their tracks. And I know some would be easier than others. I know Teddy and Ellie and Babyface had a lot during that time. But as I said, then we're going to put that in an order. So who's going to be our number 1, 2, 3, down to number 15. So it's definitely going to be a fun episode. But beginning of this, respect to the 3 producers, the 3 production team. It is not picking one or the other. It is really celebrating them and actually surprising ourselves and surprising you guys. So, guys, please, as always, make sure you put down your starting from 15 to 1, because we do need to see what you guys have picked as well. I know VJ has collated from the NGS forum those who've sent their list so you can do a combined as well. But remember, as we start from 15 down to 1, we need to see what you guys put down as well. Yes. Yeah, and as I said, people are asking how come we didn't bring in, like Marley Marl or other producers, and actually it was really this is just one of the beginnings, and we can celebrate the second generation of producers down the road, of course, and we've got a special episode in June that we're not going to spoil, but in June, around June of a certain year that was the biggest for R&B hip New Jack, but that's something that we'll bring later on. All right. But let me get your thoughts, Stevie, about compiling and doing this exercise today. How did you find it?
The easiest one for me to do was the top 5 Teddy Riley. I got that pretty much easily. The LA and Babyface, Jam and Lewis. I struggled with it, 1 or 2. I kept changing. From my initial draft, I've made 4 changes.
Wow.
It's 3 now. I've made a 4th one, and I was like, in an hour and about the number 5 and on both of them, but it's tough. It's tough. And like at one point, I did snooker myself. I had a chat with VJ, but I did snook, but I've overcome that now, I think. So I'm happy with the list, but I did put a few hardcore selections in. And at the last minute, I thought, can I be really putting these really hardcore? And I've changed them for more popular, bigger hits. So, yeah, so them hardcore ones have drifted out, unfortunately. There's one in, though. There is one hardcore choice in. The rest of them are big tracks. Very big tracks.
But I think part of the thing with these lists is, we want to put the big hits in there.
Yeah.
But sometimes you want to be subjective. You want to say what's personal to you. Like I've added a few songs which are personal to me.
Yeah.
Some people would think, what a crazy person. Why has he put that in? But for my ears, those songs are it. Like, so I think it's a balancing act, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's also how much you play them as well. How often you play these. That made my choice as well. And some of these tracks, I have like a love-hate relationship where I can go over time where I keep playing them and then I just don't want to hear them because I've heard them too much. So there's all that going on in the head as well.
Yeah. And Namdi, you asked me a question before. What was the hardest part of this task? One was not including these guys.
This is SOS band.
It's like 10 SOS band, 12 inches, mostly done by Jam and Lewis. And all of that stuff was before 86 or before. So not including these guys was super hard for me because they've done so much amazing music. And the other difficult part of this task was not to be able to include Teddy Riley remixes because as we spoke about earlier, Namdi, I was saying that part of Teddy's mastery was to take an original composition, flip it on its head and make it something completely new. And I don't think Jam and Lewis or LA and Babyface could do that as well as he could.
Yeah.
And that was his skill set. So I think that was the other difficult part. But other than that, we've got a list. I've got
yeah. And I think to be fair, I mean, I remember 2 a.m. staying up watching the the Babyface Teddy versus, and he started playing, right, Human Nature, and then Babyface started to say, "Oh, what's that? I thought Jam and Lewis did that," and when he played Get Lonely and stuff, and I was like, no, but Teddy, you made history. You had #1 hits. You ruled the dance floor. Why why do a remix which was not your own? Because you've got stuff that are even better than a remix. Now, don't get me wrong, everyone would know that the Jane Child remix is one of the, as it goes down in New Jack Swing folklore, the track that saved Teddy Riley, but somebody else did it, and so we have to respect the fact that actually he's done his own stuff. But I mean, as I said, you could, as I said, yeah, we wanted to just do the album cuts because the remixes are remixes. But this is just one format. We could try something else another time, but this was just one format. Go ahead, Nigel.
I wanted to say something really quick. It's not necessarily a New Jack track, but the remix to George Michael's Monkey was Jam and Lewis. And they actually, I think, did a very good job of that. That's the one that ended up in the video. And when you compare the Monkey that was the video and the remix that Jam and Lewis did to the album version, it's like night and day, no pun intended. So I think Jam and Lewis could get their remix on when they felt like it. Pretty sure they did the Crucial remix as well. So I wouldn't sleep on them, but that wasn't their main bread and butter as a remix production force.
They did some fantastic remixes for Angel Grant with the guys from Low Key. Oh my God, those were so good. It's not that you're right, Jam and Lewis can remix. They've done some incredible remixes. I think they did one for Scream called Scream Louder. I think that was one of theirs.
I remember that one. Yeah.
Brilliant.
I think what they're good at doing is like extended mixes rather than actual full remixes. There's so many Jam and Lewis extended mixes from the 80s that are just because they did all them chord changes and melodies. It fitted a 7-minute mix for me.
And percussion, like they're they were
but also it's I think, as I said, maybe I'm scarred with the verses, but I also wanted to be on an even keel, and I really wanted to I think it's unfair first because even though Teddy is great at remixes, but that would almost negate 20 30 massive hits that he's had without a remix, and actually bringing that to the forefront. And it's only 5 tracks, so just to have at least you could find 5 tracks that aren't a remix to be able to so there's different. If we did top 15, I could understand if we included a remix as well. Okay.
One more thing I wanted to share about Jam and Lewis, and I don't know if any of you guys agree with this or not. So you guys will know this song. This is Prince's When Doves Cry.
Mm-hmm.
On the B side of that was a track called 17 Days.
Yes.
Now, firstly, that's an incredible composition.
Yes.
And secondly, when I listen to that, all I can hear is Jam and Lewis. And this was just before Jam and Lewis started working with the SOS Band and everybody else. So I feel that Jam and Lewis got their entire sound from 17 Days and Prince. And I can't explain it to you. Like, you go from the melodies to the production, to the vocal arrangement, to the chorus, to everything. It just sounds like a Jam and Lewis track. So if you know...
I want to jump in because I'm getting chills just hearing you say that. For me, it's funny you say that because even though that little I'm talking about 17 days, that reminds me of Jam and Lewis. But I actually pictured a young face, like from Dio, singing the vocals on that song because it has such a, it's very percussion heavy, and then like I hear face on that. So it's funny that you said that because you're thinking Jam and Lewis, I'm thinking bass, but they're both in the same universe. And I think they kind of looked at each other sometimes and even took notes from each other. Certainly with Romantic, that was a face like composition in a way that Jam and Lewis did. So I don't know, man. I just had to say something because that resonated with me, what you just said. It was a song that was futuristic. It planted seeds. I think that's what we agree on.
Yeah, and the other thing is, if I ever got the chance to ask Jimmy Jam or Terry Lewis, how much impact did that song have on their sound? I am very curious to see what they've got to say.
Nice.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Well, without any delay, we're going to start with track number 15 on our list, and I have no problem starting and with that from myself, DJ Stevie. He's still called Michael Jackass. No, somebody did say, "What's Michael Jackass?" And I
last night's podcast. Sorry,
when somebody said it, I was wondering, what were they talking about? And I just realized that's just.
If you've not seen the Michael Jackson Bad podcast we did last night, go back and watch that. From
Okay.
I've not changed it. I've not changed it from.
He's not changed it. So number 15 from me is a track that actually I remember. I remember being in boarding school in Nigeria. And we had this really tall, awkward type of guy who had a very angry type of persona when he's singing, and he just didn't seem to fit his face, and his style didn't fit his voice. And that's Alexander O'Neal. And I must say he's definitely vocally and his style, and what Jam and Lewis were able to do with him, and really bring out some the ballads, but the sort of the funk. I know that M-Mac put Fake, but the song that really was big in Nigeria I can remember I was just in boarding school was Criticize. And having a track, I think it's if we reflect on what tracks back in the day, this is a man saying, "Don't criticize my don't I- you know." I think they got lazy in the '90s and they just say, "Baby, come over here. I love you. Let's go to the park." They were, Terry and Jerry Jam writing these kind of big, massive lyrics and stuff. So criticize, I was a kid, like, what are they talking about? Criticize. So for me, Criticize is makes number 15. It was a Jam and Lewis track, came out in '87. Mr. Alexander Neil from his Hearsay album. Really love that track. Black Guardian, welcome. Randy Pope, welcome, welcome. Blue, Joseph, welcome. Yes, VJ.
Prince, Last Exit to Brooklyn. That's interesting. If 17 Days was started, the composition began in '83, because that says a lot. I don't know who produced it then. I don't know how much influence Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis had on that song, or if it's the other way. But it's still it's an interesting conversation regardless. I'm glad, Namdi, you picked Alexander O'Neal's Criticize, because unfortunately I had to pick one Alexander O'Neal track and I had to bump that song, so it didn't make my list. So I'm glad it made your list. My number 15 is a very rare Jam and Lewis production for Mint Condition. They didn't do many Mint Condition tracks, but I've picked My Dear off the Mo Money soundtrack. I think it's a brilliant composition, and I wanted to have Mint Condition in there. And
wow, dude,
that's the one that My Dear is the one. It's just so good.
Good call. Sorry.
There's no samples on that song, but yeah, Jimmy
Awesome
Jam.
choice. Great choice. I didn't even think of that actually, but great choice.
Brilliant.
That's number 15 for me.
Okay. I need to pull out Alexander Greatest Hits. I think people will be pleasantly surprised about Alexander O'Neal. I mean, it's just massive, just hit after hit after hit. Stevie, what's about you?
This is my first entry from LA and Babyface. This track, I have a kind of a love-hate relationship with it. And ironically, she did a track called Love Hate, which was on one of the Beverly Hills soundtracks from about 86, 87. But it's not that track. I'm talking about Miss Pebbles blazed onto the scene around 1988 with what was it? Was that a debut, Girlfriend, or was Love Hate first? I can't remember.
Yeah.
But Girlfriend blew up, didn't it? It was a huge track. The video, when she walked in, the video was like quite mesmerizing. And I've gone through that period of really enjoying listening to that till I don't want to ever hear it again. But, during that time period, Pebbles, she was huge. So she's got to be in the top 15 for me. Girlfriend at number 15.
Fantastic choice, Stevie. Fantastic choice. Love that song. Brilliant.
Was that the one that she says, "Yo, deal"? And then they said, "Well, you've clashed your last cry." We had out the door, man.
That's the one.
that was cool, man.
Yeah. Good one.
Yes.
All right. So I'll just jump in. I already know I'm next. So you would ask about like how you approached it, and some of you guys said being subjective versus not subjective. And I think to make it easier for me, I was absolutely selfish, and only went with songs that like mean something to me. And this is the only one I might get a red flag for. Shout out, by the way, to all the Alexander O'Neal people. Fake absolutely was on an earlier version, but didn't make it. Another one did. But anyway, this is the weird one for everyone. Rex and Effect, their debut album, track number 3, had a song called Juicy on there. And that to me is my number 15. It's a very mellow track.
Wow.
I think it's a very good update of Tume track. And, I don't think anybody, I'm probably the only person in this whole situation who picked that song. But I just remember liking that song, man. And I liked it. So that was number 15. There was never a choice for it. Thank you, man. And I'm just going to go with Juicy. And it should have been, I would have pushed that more as a single. I don't know if there was a video. I don't think there was. But I think it deserved one.
Can I share something, Andrew?
Yeah.
You were absolutely, from all the lists that were submitted, you were the only person that sent it but it's a great choice. And the beautiful thing about this podcast, none of us are going to pick a bad song. They're all going to be great songs. So I'm excited for this. Juicy's great choice, man.
Yeah. Yeah, HM Beats. Okay. Well, number 14. I must say, when this video and when this song came out, I was shocked. I was shocked by the video, but it grew on me, and it showed a side of Jimmy and Terry that we hadn't seen in a while. And also for this artist as well. And this was one person who, when they joined New Edition, I thought they were stealing the limelight. It's interesting when you saw Jimmy talking to Sean Stockton, and he talked about how they brought Johnny Gill into the fold. As a fan of New Edition at the time, I'm saying, why is he standing in the front with, in the video, "You're Not My Type of Girl"? I'm like, he just came. Why is he not staying in the back? But anyway, "Love You the Right Way." Just I don't know who convinced Johnny to start to dance, because that was what was always said. He can't dance, and he's not. And then he goes all out in the video, and it was Jam and Lewis really saying, "Okay, we've got this New Jack down. We've got this up tempo. We can. It's not just ballads and poppy songs. We've got this." And that was a hard track, and they definitely pulled it off. And it was a way of really introducing Johnny, and gave us a different insight. Now, of course, he went back to his ballads and his mid-tempos, where he strong to this, but that was definitely his signature breakthrough single. So Jim and Jam and Terry Lewis, "Love You the Right Way," Johnny Gill at number 14 for me.
Very nice, very nice. About that song, Stevie is the only person I know ever in my life that has played that original version in a live setting, and it blew my mind. I was like, what the hell is Stevie doing? This is so amazing. It was brilliant. I loved it. Just wanted to share. My number 14 is a song that you'd expect to make a Teddy Riley list, and it's my first inclusion by Teddy Riley. It comes off this album, Make It Last Forever, and it's one of his big ones. It's "I Want Her." I love that song. It's great.
I Want, okay.
It's great. You can't go wrong with "I Want Her." And I know what Stevie said previously about having overheard certain songs and saturated in your own headspace, ear space, but "I Want Her" deserves to be in that list. It's just a very, very special song, and fantastic track. So that's my track, number 14.
Okay. I mean, we're getting some real good ones here. Wild Wild West, Kumo D, of course, Remember the Time. Somebody hopeful says they still have a video of Johnny dancing on Soul Train and sweating, still at the VHS. Okay. Yeah, Stevie, what's number 14 for you?
It's my first entry for Jam and Lewis. On my initial
Thanks, Sean.
top 15, I'd realised I'd left this artist out, and I was scratching my head thinking, can I really leave this artist out? And then when it came to like, should I put her in? I thought I snookered myself here with the other big 5 tracks. So I left it. Unfortunately, Alexander O'Neill stayed in my chart for like 5 minutes and has now been ousted for Janet Jackson. I thought, how could I leave Janet Jackson out of my top 15?
Oh.
So Janet Jackson, I'll be honest, this was the track that got me into Janet, not the 86 stuff that everybody goes on about. I'd only heard the 86 stuff. I'd only heard the 2 singles that were on top of the pops at the time. What Have You Done For Me Lately? And that big ballad, which was that soppy ballad. What was it called? I can't remember.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's late. It wasn't until I heard Miss You Much, the first single off Rhythm Nation, I was hooked on Janet. So Miss You Much has fell into my top 15 at number 14. I love that record. I realised how much I love that record. The 12-inch, the extended mix, everything about it, the video. So Janet, you got me. You got me on that. Right. Sorry, Alexander O'Neill, you've not made it tonight. Maybe on another night.
Oh goodness, Miss Savio. Yeah, Babyface. I'm still wonder how come, how long. So I think that was outside of the era of 87 to 92. But don't forget, guys, just give us your list, 15 to 1, 5 from each producer. Andrew.
Someone said that they thought I Want Her was I Wanna, and I remembered I thought the exact same thing. I wanna do what? Like what? Anyways, all right, moving right along. My number 14 is the second appearance by Teddy Riley. It might be surprisingly low for some of you guys, but whatever, man. And I prefer the video version of this song because of the dance break at the end. But it was my favorite track off of Dangerous, and that is not Outside of the Closet, but In the Closet at number 14. Again, potentially surprisingly low for some people, but it was like something about the song that makes me want to, give it a place in number 14. So that's my selection.
Great one.
Okay. Yeah, I it is funny just to think about if Michael, if you're having 5 tracks from Teddy, does any of his production stuff with Michael make a list, or is it because he had one? So that's interesting that you included one like that. Okay, on to number 13. As people might say, well, was this not just New Jack? And I must say that this it's and I feel bad that the 13 to 14 and 15 are still Jam and Lewis tracks, and it wasn't that I rated them low. It's just that what was personal for me. But this number 13, I think somebody mentioned it here, is a song that if it's played today, it will still sound original. And it's probably, I think I heard in an interview from Jam and Lewis that this is probably their proudest song that they've written and produced. That they look back, if they had to pick one song, it would be this song, and that's Optimistic by Sound of Blackness. It is such a inspirational track. It's such a track that just transcends things, and they're proud of that track compared to anything else. And as I said, if I heard it today, it would sound brand new. So Optimistic, Jam and Lewis, definitely my number 13.
Great
tune. Few tracks that stand the test of time. That
great song.
Yeah,
So inspiring.
Brandy's
Yes.
well.
Yes.
Miss Time for 7 years said 92 is not her era. Okay. Hopefully, did we ever get the Control album later? Okay, so VJ, what's number 13 for you? Melodic says
I forgot to say something about track 14. So my track 14 was Keith Sweat, I Want Her. And this will be interesting for some music nerds. I never realized that there was a sound effects sample by Orcs called Fairlight CMA from 1982. So if you hear that sample, you'd be like, oh, that's a sample. Just very interesting. I did not know that. My number 13 is my first entry by LA and Babyface. Babyface had a demo version of that, which he dropped on social streaming platforms 3-4 years back. The song is Whispers, Rocksteady. There are no samples on that track, but it's been sampled by at least 33 different artists.
Wow.
And including Kylie Minogue, Look My Way. And if you listen to Look My Way by Kylie Minogue, it's a complete ripoff of Rocksteady. But brilliant song. That's my number 13.
Great track.
No, definitely.
And
definitely. DJ Soulchild,
like 4 decades of music, the Whispers are still going, they're still releasing music.
They're fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. Dyer says, Big Bub, why you get funky on me? Was that Teddy? I think Teddy laid down the tracks and Gene when he left, and they just took his stuff and just because it just sounds Teddy, even though he's not credited for it. So, but that's an interesting one. Okay, Stevie.
My second entry from LA and Babyface. Initially, I had Damien Dame right down to it, the album cut, which I love. But then I realised again, same with Janet. I thought, how can I leave this artist out because she was huge in that era, and I've ended up putting a track that makes me feel really good when I listen to it. Love the video; she looks amazing in the video to this day. Karen White, The Way You Love Me,
Nice.
that 89,
Okay.
you know,
Brilliant
track. Great groove, just makes you feel really good as well when you listen to it.
I'll let Karen know that you like the song.
Really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I do. I mean, that album, I remember being in, as I said, boarding school, and you know, when you're listening to Superwoman and she's talking about put your breakfast on the table, the detail, your eggs and your, I'm thinking, what, who sings like that really describes, and that's,
That's a
Babyface
good
with
point.
such
It's a really
penmanship
good
and stuff.
point. Like, it was a story, right? The entire
Yeah, it was a
is
story,
building
and
up.
you could feel it. You
Fantastic.
could.
You're right. That's a very good point.
Yeah, goodness. Andrew,
All
what's
right.
you?
Well, I just wanted to say The Way You Love Me by Karen White actually was on an earlier version at number 13. But now my number 13 is something that's already been said. It's the first entrance by my personal favorite, Shaman Lewis. And what I like about the song so much is the way it just talks about thinking positive and that you can win, as long as you keep your head to the sky. So just like Mandy at number 13, I've got that song, and it was a love at first listen for me. And every time I just let myself get lost in the track, it just absolutely does brighten my day. So as long as you keep your head to the sky, you can win. And that's the end of our TED Talk for
You have to subscribe for the full talk.
Yeah.
Expect the link below.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, beautiful song. My number 12 was I'd switched it, and I had so this is my first Ellie and Babyface track, and I initially had a Babyface track on there, but because the track, the one I prefer, was not on the album, I had to replace it with a song that I think when it came out, it really, I saw myself with these guys, and it's it just shows that these guys just had the magic. It doesn't matter if they're writing for old guys like the Whispers or kids like the Boys. But Down My Heart was massive when I was a kid, when I was in school, and and so for me, just the memories of Down My Heart by the Boys, Ellie and Babyface, I had to put it in there because it's just different, and it's a song. As I said, the kids. I remember H-Town talking about when they saw the Boys. They're like, man, if they could do it, man, we could do it. Look at these young kids singing, and that's the thing about how they inspired other people. But it's just like Ellie and Babyface. Yeah, we can write to kids. We can write for the Whispers. We can write for anyone, and that's just the magic of their production. And so yes,
that's a fantastic choice as well. But also Hakim from the Boys is an insanely talented producer. I mean, some of the songs he's created are just like he deserves a show by himself, like a podcast. He's a very special producer.
Number 12.
Number 12. I was in two minds about which one of their songs to put. These guys did an album called Any Heartbreak, which was quite popular, especially in Andrew's head. In all of our heads, but especially Andrew's head. And I mean, I was going to go for one of the big ones. If It Isn't Love, Can You Stand the Rain, Boys to Men. But I had to go with I'm Coming Home. Only because nobody talks about this song enough. This song needed to be a single. I think it would have been a fantastic single. Andrew, you keep talking about there's a live version that exists and it's there and it's a little bit, and that's the only version that exists. I don't understand why this song wasn't bigger. It wasn't sampled, doesn't use any samples, but it was sampled in BBD's In My Crib in 2001. So I'm Coming Home needs to be on this list, and it's there. There you go. That's my
beautiful
12.
Okay. VJ, River Mandel says, what songs did Hakim produce?
He did a lot of the Boys stuff. He did this fantastic remix for Tevin Campbell. Goodbye remix is just outrageous. His remix is definitely worth checking out.
He also did a song called "All Right" by Classic Example. It was on I think it was one of those movies, like South Central or something. It was one of those hood movies in the early '90s. And then he did the entire third album of The Boys. So that whole album is him. And then he also remixed "Two Can Play That Game" on the remixes.
Yes, he did.
Then he did some songs for POV. They were like a group out of Philly. I can't find their album anywhere, honestly. I'm sure I could like find it as a collector, but like it's on streaming. But yeah, he did his thing. And then for the New Kids fans, he did do "Summertime" for them. I just know that because like I saw his name later on in 2008, I think, and I'm like, whoa, okay, all right, do you?
The Saga Continues was a very good album, and it was all I think mainly because of his production.
Yeah, love that album.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's some good shouts there, Jesse Powell.
Yeah, Jason Weaver and the Good Girls. Okay, Stevie, what's number?
I'm enjoying this new format of pitching, like you say, three production units together, top 50. I'm already thinking of, could we have a full force Foster McElroy and maybe either the Untouchables or the characters in the next episode? Go a bit deeper, guys. As we talked about these three, can we go there and celebrate those? But anyway, my number 12. I actually changed the track, not the artist. In this is my second entry for Jam and Lewis. It's Mr. Johnny Gill. Initially, I'd put "Wrap My Body Tight," which is my go-to track usually for that album, but I couldn't leave this track out. "Rub You the Right Way," as you've already put it now. Number 12, "Rub You." Album mix amazing, remix even better arguably, but a huge track at the time. Old Johnny Gill there. Great album for his debut for Motown, of course. Took him a few years to get recognised and blow up, but he got there in the end. Probably down a New Edition, but that solo album, you could pick any track off that album.
Isn't that maybe the most flawless R&B album from 85 to 95? I'd say that might be the best album that was created. Maybe
incredible album.
Johnny Gill's album. I listened to that a lot.
Yeah, I think he Motown had enough sense and money to say, get the people who know you, so Jam and Lewis and LA and Babyface, and he stayed consistent with them. So he was the only one to replicate good albums compared to the others. So he knew his stuff.
And perfect for this podcast. Definitely. The only thing that I think could have enhanced that album is if Teddy did some remixes on that. Oh, it's over. It would have been over. Can you imagine that?
It's all mixes which weren't very good, were they? Of "Wrap My Body Tight." I didn't like them mixes at all.
No, I wasn't. I was a big fan of Soul to Soul, but I think they missed a mark there on that particular mix.
Yeah. Okay, Andrew.
Right. Yeah. So
12.
In 1990, a certain album dropped by. I won't like completely, talk too much, but I'll just say it. A certain album dropped by Pebbles, and that album had lots of great songs on it. And I actually think that album was a really good showcase of that LaFace sound that I loved so much. It was very crystalline. So whether you're talking about Giving You the Benefit, whether you're talking about Love Makes Things Happen, whether you're talking about Why Do I Believe, whether you're talking about Stay With Me Forever, like there are so many songs, right? But the title track of that song with Sherelle guesting on it is the one that I had to give love to. And that song is called Always.
Wow.
So at number 12, Always is my selection for this podcast. You're going to notice a trend. I leaned a bit more ballad on this, but another one that's not necessarily celebrated, but I just had to be a little selfish and subjective and say, what do I like? And what do I stop and never skip? And Always never get skipped. So that's number 12.
Okay. So for anyone that's just coming in, yes, we are doing 5 tracks from 5 producers, making our top 15 lists. And we're doing it from 15 down to 1. So yes, Jimmy Terry, Ellie Babyface, and Teddy Riley. So, okay, very interesting choice. Now, number 11 for me, I had to get one track from the Any Heartbreak, and maybe not their signature track, but the song that I think I always loved, as much as I wasn't too pleased with a certain new member taking front row. But You're Not My Type of Girl. I just loved the energy. I mean, and that's what I say about how men were singing back in the day. I'm sorry, you're not my type of girl. You're a good looking girl. Maybe the looks, maybe it's the style, but you're not my. It's almost apologize to say, look, man, I'm not into you. And I think that's just so different from where we are now, where we got to, where it's begging and baby come here. And, it's just amazing how they were, and that's, I have to give it up to Terry as a songwriter to just think about these type of things and stuff. But You're Not My Kind of Girl, New Edition, Jimmy and Terry at number 11 for me.
Imagine, like you say, saying to her, putting right in a song and saying to a girl, "I'm sorry, you're not my type. You're not my type." So moving on. That's what girls you say to guys, and reject them. Yo.
Made a whole song about it.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's just flipping it. This is what girls were saying, and he's saying it. And
you ladies now, what a man over 6'4" and he's got to earn $100,000 a year. That's why you're single. That's why Senator Palpatine is on his way for you as you get older, and you got your cats in your bedroom because you can't get a man because your standards are too high. Sorry, you're not my type of girl.
Timmy Lee had Fishnet by The Time. Did anyone have The Time on the list?
That's a good call, man.
That's interesting.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. Dio had Heavy Dinner Boys, You Got Your Own Thing.
I think that was him solo, actually. But either way, Fishnet, Black Pantyhose. Good call, man.
Jam and Lewis did the Pandemonium album, 1990. I think that was all Jam and Lewis as well, predominantly anyway. My number 11 is... I mean, this song was only available on the LP when it first came out, it's a Teddy Riley and Bernard Bell track, and there's an unknown singer called Tony Thompson who just blew my mind with this song. This song is everything. High Five, I Like the Way, Kissing Game, Done, and Done. It's perfect. You cannot. Oh, it's just too good. It's just too good. And I think Teddy Riley and Bernard Bell had arguably the best chemistry when they made songs together. Those two together, every song they did together just hit.
Yes.
The stuff with the Winans, Guy Let's Chill, just anyway.
Remember the Time, like that was them too, I believe. So yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, rest in peace, Bernard Bell passed away about 2 years ago. He was a hospital stroke. The brother Regina Bell, as well, and he was the choir director in Paterson, New Jersey. So think about Big Bob, and today think about Eric Williams and Chauncey from Blackstreet. They were all from the same neighborhood, and Bernard was their main person. I think Bilal Muhammad. If you remember Bilal Muhammad, who's a songwriter, producer, he was also even though he was a Muslim, but he still learned under them as well. But yeah, rest in peace, Bernard Bell.
And Bernard Bell was also, before Today Were Today, they were the Gents, and Bernard Bell was in that group. So imagine Today and Bernard Bell all in one group. Imagine what that would have sounded like if they'd stuck together as a group. That would have been a good look, I think.
Yes. So Stevie,
VJ is as a bigger Teddy Riley fan as he is, he's had 2 shots here out of his top 5, and he's not even in the top 10 yet. He's not even
me.
Yeah, you.
Oh man,
he's had 2 of his Teddy Riley tracks, and he's not even in the top 10 yet.
So the one thing I'll say though,
his Teddy tracks.
When we had the NJS Forever forum, my icon was Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. I'll just say that. For most of the time, it was Jimmy. I'm just saying. I'm not saying.
Self-proclaimed self-proclaimed biggest Teddy Riley in the world. This already you.
No, I love Teddy. I love Teddy, but Jam and Lewis, LMB, this is the click, man. This is like the super click. All three of these guys, we know what.
At number 11, Teddy, are you ready? Because I got one for you now. You may have forgotten about this, I don't know. But at number 11, my first Teddy Riley entry, and this is probably my only hardcore selection, because I know you guys are going really deep and personal with your selections tonight. So I thought, any Teddy Riley top 10 I come up with, this has always got to be in it. It's more of a hardcore selection, more of a DJ selection. Wasn't really a hit, but still the production is amazing. And that's Bubba, I Like Your Style, from the House Party 1 soundtrack. One of my greatest New Jack Swing tracks of all time, that. Why is it number 11? I've no idea, but it's there anyway. So there you go.
But you also have to mention who was featured on
Tammy
the track.
Lewis, of course.
So, I mean, when you have, and then but I mean, that House Party soundtrack, House Party 2 soundtrack, it was a fire.
Great choice. Great choice,
yes,
TV.
Yeah,
I'm shocked it's at number 11, though.
I am shocked. I'm quite shocked that High Five track is at number 11.
Dude, there's too many good tracks.
I know.
If you see what goes from 50, I had a list of 25. If you see what's from 16 to 25, you'll be in tears, man. Wow. It's so tough.
I have interviewed Bahar Mohammed, and it's coming up in a few weeks.
You've interviewed him, sorry.
And he's Bilal Mohammed. Yes, and he's working with Teddy, with the new guy, the guy who sounds like Michael Jackson.
Brandon Casey.
Yes, so they're working together on stuff. Yeah, but anyway, I'm surprised. We're at number
11.
We're at number 11, and I've not had a Teddy track, so you can see the difference between the three of us. But anyway,
it makes sense, Andrew. I bet your number 1 to number 5 are all Teddy.
He does make the majority of my top 5, but anyway. Go ahead, Andrew.
All right, so because we're all slightly unique, and I think weirdo is too strong of a word, but like we all have our own little quirks. Sometimes I think of songs like movies, like a movie trilogy or movie quadrology. And like with the Star Trek 2, you've got like the Spock trilogy with this like Star Trek 2, 3, and 4. It's all one little big arc, right? So there's 4 songs I consider like an arc. And the song I'm going to pick at number 11 is like either the prequel or the first one. But the second and third and fourth songs are in that little group are Candy in the Rain, then Come Back to Me by Janet Jackson, and then finally Do What I Gotta Do by Ralph Tresvant. But the song that kind of started it all for me, and literally at the end of the song, I'm getting chills. He goes, I think, what comes after the sunshine? It's the rain or something like that. And then it's Candy in the Rain. It's Alexander O'Neal with Sunshine. I just feel like that's where it all started as far as that vibe, that sound, the chord changes. Fake was there, but then I was like, wait a minute, looked at the date, and I'm like, oh, it's 87. Sorry, Fake. And Sunshine is at number 11 for me on Alexander.
Brilliant
selection. That
brilliant song, man. What a tune.
My Sunshine.
Well, how many of us have had Alexander O'Neal in our top 15? I've got, Andrew has got. Did either one of? I think
Stevie pushed him out, right?
Did you have?
I had initially. What can I say to make you?
Oh, then you took him out. Okay.
He's still coming for me. He's still coming.
Okay. No, I'm just saying that actually it's amazing that actually the influence, the partnership with Jimmy and Terry, that we definitely had to really give him his props and flowers and stuff. Okay. That was number 11. So top 10. Number 10 for me. You know what? I think what I had to do with this, and during the lockdown, the writer of this track played the demo for this track and said, look, this was the initial demo, and put it out, and actually had a mini-me version of himself when he was singing the track. But for them to be able to get an old school band and make them current again, it is LA and Babyface with the Whispers, Rock Steady. You got these old guys being back on the forefront, and if somebody asks, does anyone put the Jacksons? Nothing compares to you. When you get a hit song and you can give it to anybody, whether it's kids or old men, it's a hit song. Is a hit song. Doesn't matter who sings it. And Rocksteady by Ellie and Babyface really, I didn't really, the Whispers were bands that my dad used to listen to. So for me now to jam to them with Rocksteady, it is just testament to what the magic of Ellie and Babyface. So number 10 for me is Rocksteady by the Whispers.
Big tune, man. And the other thing, I think a great moment for LA and Babyface, because one of their heroes was Quincy Jones. He turned around and said that song is, the funk in that song is very, very special, or something, words to that effect. So to get that nod from Quincy Jones, if you're a young LA and Babyface, would have been incredible. So fantastic song.
Hopeful says they're not old, they're just seasoned. Yeah, you're right, they're seasoned. Melodic says Rocksteady was in his list, but he squeezed it out. I had privilege to work with the So Good album. Oh, but they were signed to Solar, the same with the deal which Ellie and Babyface were part of. So I can imagine that. Yeah. VJ, number 10 for you.
My number 10. This was massive in the clubs. My two of my dad's brothers had a DJ unit, and they used to take me. I was very little, and because I was little, they used to get more attention from the ladies because there was a little guy. They'd be like, "Oh, look, this is my nephew." And then but their DJ selection, the song selection was incredible. My youngest uncle, and he used to always play this song by the Mac Band, "Roses Are Red." Oh yes. My God, this song is so good. It's too good, man. "Roses Are Red" is just perfection. Everything about it, it's magic. There's 3 LA and Babyface tracks on this. There's another track called "Stale," which if you don't know it, you should check out. But the other one you should check out on that album is a track called "Jealous," which is brilliant. But "Roses Are Red," that's my number 10. And it uses a sample, supposedly, by a song from the 18th century called "Roses Are Red," and it's traditional folk. I don't know which element it is. I don't know anything about the sample, but it's random as hell, that fact. So I just thought I would share that.
Nice.
Wow. That's number 10 for me.
Okay. Yeah, definitely a good song. I know some people are putting out remixes, and we decided to, no, this album cuts just to give the honors to the producers here. So album cuts. But Stevie, what's number 10?
is a track dripping in melody, groove, chord changes, great song. VJ just mentioned it. It's Steal My Thunder. But what I'll add to that track is the 12-inch version had a 9 minute and 15 seconds extended mix.
What
9 minutes. 15 magic. And I still didn't want it to end after 10 minutes.
Exactly.
But yeah,
something special.
And the Matt Campbell brothers, one-hit wonders in terms of pop music, because the only big hit they ever had, even though they did about 2 or 3 albums. But what a track! Roses Are Red. Probably more for the UK audience. The UK audience over here in '88 really, pop soul audience really took to that track. And
it was big in Nigeria. It was big around the world. It was definitely definitely.
It's underrated for me today. Not many people still talk about that track, but it had to be my top 10. Number 10, my third LA and Babyface entry this evening.
Fantastic.
Okay, nice. What did you go for, number 10?
All right, so I'm trying to find the lyrics that I want to. Here we go. So if you guys know what this song is at number 10, this song is very swagalicious, a lot of swagger. It's a Teddy Riley production, and I think the beat is just insane. I will do the Running Man no matter where I'm at if I hear this song. And one of my favorite lines is, here we go. Here's a perfect description of me: 6'1" and dark and lovely. And if the saying black is beautiful and it's true, not phony, I'm browner than Bobby, so won't you be I'm browner than Bobby, so won't you be my tenderoni? I'll never be a rapper. But that said, it's called I Get the Job Done by Big Daddy Kane, with Teddy Riley doing I work. Boom, boom, I work. Boom, 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 I work. Baby. Like, come on, man. Like, that song is just the beat, the music, the lyrics, the whole thing is just 1989 in his bag. You know, Scoob and Scrap doing their thing. They have a little routine where they go up. I mean, the whole song was just fire. So that was Teddy Riley saying, yes, I'm a guy, but I'm also a beast in production. And this is my announcement to the world that, you know.
That's a great choice, dude. I was not expecting that. That's a really good choice, man.
Yeah, I mean, hard production. Same thing he did with Kumo D. You know, he had some real strong production, and to think that was where he felt comfortable in doing that type of production stuff.
My name ain't Keith, so please stop sweating me. That's one of the lyrics I remember.
Oh goodness. Okay, so number 9 for me was Teddy's first #1 song. And when I say #1, that's Billboard #1, so that's on the pop charts. And it's a song that a lot of people didn't realize he did, because it didn't seem as hard and stuff. But it's stuff that, of course, it has the lyrics of the legendary Bernard Bell. It has the engineering and mixing of Dave Way, and he actually gets credit as a co-writer on the track. But Kissing Game is, you know, it is. I remember speaking to Marcus and he was saying that they were just in awe that Teddy's there, telling them, "Okay, guys, sing this," and they you know, there's just an awe just watching him. But it was, you know, that just told us at an early stage how special Tony Thompson was, and how much he probably should have been given that opportunity to shine. I don't know how his debut album messed up. He should have done better than, you know. You have Usher, you have Tevin Campbell. Tony Thompson should have just been one of the biggest ones out there, but he just got it just didn't work out. So disappointed. Kissing Game by I must say I actually did for a long time prefer Just Can't Handle It. I felt it was a lot more grimy and more like you know, I just love that, but I had to give Kissing Game its flowers.
Great song, man. Great song.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Oh.
Yeah, exactly. Did you see? Did you see? Is that really Dark Child? Like, because if it is,
I'm sorry. Sorry. It wouldn't surprise me if. Oh, did it disappear?
No, I see him.
Oops.
Right.
Is it still there?
Okay. Yeah, I think it might be.
What have I missed?
Rodney Darkchild Jerkins. Love this discussion. You know,
Right.
only did a few major albums, and you know, Invincible. You know, a few like Destiny's Child tracks, like, you know, nothing major. You know.
Don't worry. When we do our Dark Child versus the Neptunes versus Timberland,
that's the one. That's the one. That's the one. Oh man.
Yeah, when we do, yeah. So don't worry, Rodney. I'm coming back on. I promise. Nice. I was supposed to interview Rodney a while back, so I appreciate that.
Nice.
But you know, it's an honor that you're here, Rodney. That you're even tuning in. But yeah, wow, it's that. Yeah, and we had John Marie also on earlier, and I know Keith Anders, who worked alongside Babyface with the XL. He's watching as well. He doesn't want to say anything, but he's watching. So appreciate it, Rodney. Rodney's distracted me. Who's next?
It's me. It's my number 9. But I was going to say, Benson pointed out a track that it's such a glaring omission on my part, and it's just dawned on me now. I haven't included the Jackson's "She" in my list, and nobody that sent in a list included the Jackson She, and I think that's a glaring omission because I think it's one of the most underrated Teddy Riley, Gene Griffin productions ever. I think it's,
but I think it was overshadowed by Nothing. Yeah, but I think it was over that Nothing Compared to You was such a it was such a bigger track that it's I think it so I think it was really overlooked with that. It's almost like when I'll Be Good to You on the Don't Be Cruel album, it gets overlooked because of Prerogative and Don't Be Cruel and the other tracks that you'd actually, but when you see Bowie perform it, you're like, oh, this is actually a funky track. So I can imagine why something like She gets overlooked.
So She, but back to my number 9. I couldn't include Criticize because I could only have one track by him. I wanted to include Thank You for a Good Year off My Gift to You because that is an incredible Jam and Lewis production, as is My First Christmas. But the one track I could add by Alexander O'Neill was The Lovers. This song is just perfect. The extended version, you listen to what Jam and Lewis are doing on this song, and it's perfect. And Hearsay is a flawless album, and to pick a song off there is so difficult. But on this occasion, I've gone with The Lovers, and that is my number 9. Wow. And also, it doesn't have any samples, but background vocals are by Lisa Keith, Sherelle, Terry Lewis, and most importantly, rest in peace, Randy Ran. Incredible. Wow. The Lovers. Okay. Number 9, that's me.
Do you know what really makes that track, VJ? There's like an orchestration in it that goes dun 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 dun.
It's too much. It's like you feel like you're gonna overflow. It's like it's just too much. That bit just gets me every single time. You know exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I've forgotten about that actually. Now you mentioned it, that when you brought, I thought, why? I'm thinking, why have you picked The Lovers? Then I remembered that bit in it. We could dun 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 dun. Oh yeah.
And it's interesting because you wouldn't think that would be a single because there's so many big songs on that album, but it made it as a single, which is incredible.
That's another hardcore choice. Oh, VJ and Andrew Knight coming with the real deep.
They're coming with the bangers
tonight. I've gone for number 9. I've gone for a track that is probably the most uplifting lyric track probably out my top 15. I used to hear it being played out in a club and the effect it had on the dance floor. And I think it's a song that has stood the test of time, and that's The Sounds of Blackness has made number 9 Optimistic.
Wow, man.
That's it. It's a classic. It's a classic of its time. Sounds great in a club.
Yeah.
I think the drums in it doesn't date the track too much. But like you say, The Sounds of Blackness, you got a whole choir going on there. But Jam and Lewis, enabled to get something out of them that sold it to the general public. So well done to him. Well done to him.
I mean, they repeated the trick. Yolanda Adams, I open up my arms to you. I open up my heart to you. Is it? No, I can't remember. What was the track? Yolanda Adams had a massive hit. She was with somebody might remember it, but it was just the fact that they could take a sort of a gospel track but make it mainstream like that. So definitely they're optimistic. I mean, we've all had it on our list. Well, the 3 of us have, because just as Rodney says, it's classic. It is a song that if we hear it now, it just doesn't seem dated. I actually was surprised it was released in 91.
I remember as well.
Yeah, it was released in 91. I was surprised. I thought it was like a mid-90s album. I thought it was like 95, 96. I was shocked at how old it is, but it still sounds like it's brand. It still sounds like it could have been released today. So that's beautiful.
I remember in the record shop, the import shop, when that came out, people were spending like the last money they had in the pocket just to get that record, and probably not even for another week, just so they could own that record. Yeah, the effect of that. So awesome.
Wow.
And that's my third. That's my third Jam and Lewis choice. So
Wow.
Two left.
Nice.
Yeah, just want shout out to Ann Nesby for the vocals in Optimistic. I know she went on to have a solo career as well. Number 9, I think this is my second LaFace track, and I actually didn't have it on my list originally, but someone else had mentioned the track, and I'm like, oh snap! So this track was actually, I think, the first single by a certain artist who had 2 debut singles, and they both didn't really do anything. And then the third single was chosen by a guy named Keith Naftali out of KMEL San Francisco. And that third single, he picked it, and it became a hit. It was called Straight Up. So the singles first I'm referring to is The Way That You Love Me, but then the first one was Knocked Out by Paula Abdul. And I do think that even though Knocked Out didn't make any noise until they came back around and re-released it after Straight Up, Forever Your Girl, Cold Hearted, then I think Opposites Tract, then they came back around and put out The Way That You Love Me, and then Knocked Out, to finish it off. Great track. And I think that the first version, the album version, is a bit timeless. I love I'm not a musician per se, but there's like a, I'm sorry guys, I had to make the noise, but I love that. And then that, and even when she goes like, hi, and then Babyface goes, hello there. Like it's just the whole, it's just a very slick 1989 LA record. So I'm giving it too much juice already. But at number 9, it's Knocked Out, Paula Abdul, a simple yet confident, and just it just works. It was not overstuffed. It was just a good track. Solid.
No, definitely. I mean, it's amazing. Paula started as a background a dancer, choreographer, edgy. Before J-Lo, there was Paula Abdul, but they really did a good thing with Straight Up, but that was massive. And so I think just like Bobby's Prerogative and Don't Be Cruel, anything else, everyone, everything else. Okay.
Sorry.
I'm just. What was that? Okay, was that a train? Oh, yeah. Andrew forgot his singer voice today, so
I'll save that for later. There's more coming up.
It's coming.
Okay.
It's coming.
No, number 8. When I thought about this, so I've gone back to Ellie and Babyface with this track at number 8, and I looked at the, because this artist had 2 albums, both produced by, like many of them, like Johnny Gill, had both Ellie and Babyface and Jimmy and Terry doing the production. But I would say that this was probably my favorite track from this artist, because when I asked, because the rumor back when I was in boarding school was Don't Be Cruel was supposed to be written for Karen White, but because there were raps in it, they gave it to Bobby Brown. Now, both Daryl Simmons denied it, says no, it was always going to be for Bobby. But then Karen does some little raps in Secret Rendezvous. She's dancing. She is just off the scale. If you see her perform this on, I think it's on either the Apollo and then on Arsenio Hall, people talk about Beyonce with Dance with Heels. Karen was just going crazy with her high heels on, dancing and singing. And I just love the vibe for Secret Rendezvous. That's my number 8. I think, that was just such a, as much as so everyone had The Way You Make Me Feel, and I thought that's a good song, but to me, Secret Rendezvous was just
finally, Namdi picks a Karen White record. Finally, at last, he picks one. What a tune! Do a Karen White podcast top 10, but it's like he keeps umming and ahhing. I'm like, no,
that would be a great podcast.
There you go.
It's for days, man.
3 hours. What is going on?
Yes. Don't worry. It will become, and hopefully, it is the AI version of LA Babyface. Jimmy and Terry.
You're not a huge fan of Janet Jackson, but you're more of a fan of Karen White. But you won't do a Karen White podcast top 10. It doesn't make any sense, Namdi.
Yeah, we'll definitely get there. We'll celebrate that. Yes. Oh, Mac had it at 13. Okay. 2 wrongs don't make a right. Oh, that was Paul Abdul
That
right?
was, I think Michael J. Powell had done the original version, and Teddy did the remix for that.
Okay. Dave Peaston. Okay. Yes. Okay. So that was Super Runner number 8 for me, Karen White.
Very good.
VJ, what is number 8 for you?
Before I talk about number 8, I just wanted to say, Rodney Jerkins, the one single that he should have, I wish they'd dropped, is "Intro Strung Out on Your Loving," because it's the best song on that album by far. And I was wondering, who's this Rodney Jerkins kid? Who is this person? And it was brilliant. And there was also a couple of tracks by N Ton, which were only on a Down South Records promo cassette, and they are brilliant. I don't know why they didn't come out. Rodney, if you're if that is you and you're listening, then just wanted you to know that. My number 8. So there were 2 versions of this song. There's one that came out on the Juice soundtrack, and as fantastic as that is, Teddy Riley featuring Tammy Lucas, I had to go with the Heavy D and the Boys version of "Is It Good to You," because the production is flawless. You cannot fault that production at all. You've got Heavy D rapping, you can't lose. You still got Tammy Lucas on there, brilliant, and you've got that incredible Tammy Lucas, that Teddy Riley production. I remember listening to this in a sound system in a car, very, very loud, and just thinking, this may be the best song ever made. I was just so excited. It was the magic. So that's how "Is It Good to You" made me feel. And as welcome as the version on Juice was, it didn't quite hit for me the way this did. Obviously, then there were the remixes for the Tammy Lucas version with Teddy, with Rex and Effect. That changed things a little, but this original version by Heavy D, very, very special. And obviously, it samples Junior Giscom's "Mama Used to Say" from 1982.
Wow. Yeah, because Tammy did say that, it was the original version with Heavy D, and they just said to Teddy, can you just write? And Tammy's a writer, so it was not hard for her to write the lyrics for that. I like the video with Teddy playing the drums and doing that stuff. I wish that they had letting us see Tammy more, because we only just saw her face and stuff.
Yeah, okay. I wish they'd shown Tammy more as well. What's he saying? Thank you, VJ.
Was his first place one of his first placements? But I had a better song with Kenny Green that no one has ever heard.
Don't say that, Rodney. Don't say that. Rodney Jerkins, Kenny Green together, and oh my God, my brain's gonna.
I was just listening to the demos, and I think that's the thing that Kenny just had so much stuff, and goodness, hopefully. Rodney will get to see it.
Wow. Fair enough.
Wow. Stevie.
Interesting. VJ's got to number 9 and has now used 3 of his Teddy Riley top 5. What's going on?
I've only used one of my Teddys. So.
Well, Teddy, are you ready again? Because I'm using my second selection out of my top 5. Namdi and VJ have already picked it, and one of my favorite bits of this record that just grips me every time, bizarrely, is the ending of it, because there's a huge fade at the end of this record, and as it fades out, you can hear one of the guys just say one of the other guys' names, and I don't know whether they intentionally left that bit on, but they left it on. It's like, oh, I think it said Mark or something at the end, but it's a very, I don't know, it's just a very innocent moment between the guys. But I've picked High Five. I like the way the kissing game. That's cool. my number 8. My memory of that is, it might have been a January, February. It was snowing, and I'd gone into Manchester City Centre to buy a record by the Wooten Brothers. But I got in the store, and the guys didn't have the record, and I'm like, I've got all the way here. I can't leave the store without a record. And then on the racks, I seen the 12-inch of High Five. I like the way the kissing game. Thought, oh, got to have that record, and that's the record I left with. Not unbeknowing, it'd be a classic to this day. So, brilliant. One of Teddy's best.
That Wooten Brothers record is insane as well. Oh, perfect album that is. But anyway, we'll talk about that another time, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, but as you said, and I think what Teddy started to do after he got the Soul Train Award was, like, he started to do what Babyface has done. Like, let me show people some of the songs that you didn't realize I did. As I said, many people didn't realize he did Kissing Game or another tracks because it just didn't seem like, or even the show. So as I said, it's such a, that's High Five. That's their signature stuff now. But yeah, even the videos, just the little shuffle dance and stuff like that. Yeah, wow. Okay, so Andrew.
All right, I got to make up for that A Train situation last time. So here we go. First attempt to bring the singing back. I give good love. I'll buy your clothes, baby. I'll cook your dinner too. Yeah, baby. Soon as I get home from work, I'll pay your rent. Your faithful lover. Ooh, baby. Soon as I get home from work. So that by Babyface at number 8 is my selection. I remember being in 7th grade. It was summer of 1990. So I was a little late, but I remember being, again, I told the story before, like, 12-year-old, 13-year-old, like, man, I want to grow up and be that chivalrous. That is definitely what I want to be. And yeah, I think I'm getting there. I'm not paying for everything, but I definitely, I'm having that kind of life. So thank you, Babyface, for imprinting and inspiring this now 48-year-old. So
yeah, I think when we did a Tender Lover album, that was, you really put into yeah, okay.
Is
Well
the
done with
US
that.
bringing Pop Idol back? We're going to get Andrew Knight on it with his performance there.
They still have
American
American
Idol,
Idol, and
whatever
they
you call
still
it.
have The Voice. They still have The Voice. Okay, top 7. This song itself, it's a legendary track. I remember interviewing. What does Rodney say? Because it's interesting just to hear what he says. Imagine a song with Teddy's drums and the groove of Jimmy Jam and Terry's on the chords progression and Babyface writing the lyrics. Yeah,
That sounds good. That sounds like a very good idea.
I mean, yeah, you can. Yeah, I mean, can you just imagine Babyface writing a song and then
do it for the New Edition album. That's what I say. New Edition should get all 3 on a track and then just like kill it. And by the way, this is my chance to say that remix to Something About You that Rodney did back in I want to say 96, 97. My God. Anyway, thank you for that. I still remember to this day. I still have it on all my mixtapes. Like mixtapes. Wow, playlists. But anyway, yes.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. But I was saying that this song. I remember speaking to Crazy Bone, and they have a song called "First of the Month," and I said, "Well, and it's almost like this track was the first one to set it off, and everyone tried to copy it, and it's Just Got Paid." Because of course, when I was a kid, I didn't understand Just Got Paid is Friday night partying and stuff. Now to find out that actually it was written by Teddy and Keith was supposed to be on the on Make It Last Forever, but no space. And Johnny says, "Yeah, can I use it?" And Teddy says, "Yeah." But it was just. I mean, a lot of people think and still will call Johnny Kemp a one-hit wonder because that was his biggest track. It big internationally. It was a massive pop crossover. And, I like the fact that Teddy was referencing there when he's saying, "Teddy, play it." And he playing it, the whole stuff. And Teddy getting funky on the whole thing. Just Got Paid was such a massive track, global hit. And as I said, when Teddy did the verses, if he just play stuff like that were big hits, no one can deny that. So Just Got Paid makes my list there.
Wow.
Great choice. Great choice.
Is that your second? Is that your second or third Teddy pick, Namdi?
No, that's Kissing Game was number 1, so that's the second Teddy.
Good.
That's the second Teddy. Okay, VJ, what's number 7 for
Before
you?
that, I was going to say, Johnny, me and Andrew did a party in New York at the Sugar Bar, and Johnny Kemp performed at that gig,
Yes.
and he was the nicest guy.
So,
Bernard Bell came that night. Do you remember Bernard came?
yes,
Ike Lee was there. It was a really good night, man.
was.
But Johnny Kemp was a beautiful soul. I just wanted to say the nicest human
Wow.
being ever. But
Ever.
yeah,
Yeah, so Jackie, they knew each other since they were kids, and so when we spoke about his loss, she was definitely, disappointed with how he passed
Very
away and
sad,
stuff
very
like
sad.
that. Hmm. Yeah, 3J,
my number
seven.
7 is I'm surprised this is so low on my list because again, it's a Teddy Riley production. Stevie's coming to say in a minute. I know it's coming. It's coming. He's on the edge of his seat. He just wants to say something. So I wanted to put Spend the Night, but the remix is the one that resonates with me.
Same.
Do I put something off the first album or the second album? And I thought, no, I don't want to put anything off any of those albums. I'm going to go with My Fantasy.
Good call.
Because My Fantasy was everything. I remember reading an interview with Raphael Sadiq. I think he was Raphael Wiggins still at the time. And he turned around and said they were touring together with Guy. Tony were touring with Guy. And Tony thought they had their sound ready and everything. And then Guy came with My Fantasy and they didn't know what to do because it just blew them away. And that song just makes me feel a very particular way. My Fantasy is perfection. We know why it was Teddy Riley featuring Guy. It's the only way it could have appeared on the Motown album, Do the Right Thing. And I think it's a perfect song. What else did I want to say? It samples Big Daddy Kane Raw from 1987. It also samples a track by Cerrone called Rocket in the Pocket, the live version from 78, not the album version. So My Fantasy, that's my number 7.
Nice.
I would say that was the when I became more aware of Teddy. When that video came out, it was like, who's it? You know, this is him, the guy with Guy. They were wearing these Speedos. I think, you know, R&B guys in the 90s weren't going to be dressing in those Speedos or cycling.
As bad as
kits,
those
but,
Speedos looked, we didn't care. We're like, the song is just too like us. You wear what you want, boys. It's all good.
Yeah. But that,
What
that
about
was
Teddy's
definitely a really
rap?
funky
Teddy's
track.
rap on the old B-side mix.
You know what's funny?
Yeah.
Actually, you know what's funny. So I talk about the trilogies.
Yeah.
So someone in the comments said My Fantasy was Spend the Night Part 2, right?
Irizarry,
Exactly.
yeah.
For me, it's like Spend the Night, My Fantasy, and then Want to Get with You. Like those three also feel very much in the same family, and they progress from one to one. But anyway, I totally agree with you, and it feels so good when like you have an opinion or a thought, and then someone else has the same thing, and like you had no like. It's just like, wow, I feel validated. I feel like, you know. Anyways, I just had to jump on it and say that.
Yeah. And Benson's just asked the question, I think second time he's asked, did we see any of us see Guy at London Hammersmith? I was there on...
Richard said he was there in
Richard
92.
was there. I was there on September the 13th, 1991, I believe. I remember the day. I snuck in a SLR camera because that's what you do. My aunt put the lens in her purse. I had the flash in my uncle's pocket, and I had the body in the side of my thing, and I snuck it in, and it was brilliant. And I took loads of pictures. It was a brilliant concert.
You've got to find them pictures, VJ, because I think
have
that was the night before at the Apollo. Just no video or pictures of it at all.
Yeah, it was a very special time. And like, I think those Guy concerts were some of the best concerts.
They were at the peak.
Ever.
They were at the peak.
And I compared them to Michael Jackson, and LeVaber Mallison turned around and said, VJ, you're doing this wrong. As good as the Guy concert was back then, you're talking about it because they were fresh and new at the time. Now, you can't compare Guy 5 years after the fact to Michael Jackson. And when he said it like that, I was like, you've got a good point there. But at the time, during the Future tour, insane.
Yeah.
Guy were unstoppable, the best of the best.
Yeah, but I mean, if you when you speak to Sprague and even Mucho, they said that Gene had them. Even Damien, they said Gene had them working hard. They had to put on a show, so it wasn't just because. Oh, who was it? I think. I think it was the guys from Basic Black, but they said if Gene would keep them all night just practicing and rehearsing if they didn't get it down right. So he was a hard taskmaster, so they had to put on a show. So I can imagine at that time.
I mean, what I remember about the set list of that Guy concert was they came out playing Her with all them green laser lights that flashed out into the audience, and they actually ended our set in Manchester with My Fantasy.
Nice.
Interesting.
To hear the actual New Jack Swing production live, you're talking about a live lately bass, that elastic sound, bum, 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 with a live drummer. To hear New Jack, the actual production sound live is, because I always wondered how could they create this album, the sound of that album live? How could they do it? But they did. It's just absolutely mesmerizing. Then you've got the dancing, the singing. Oh, this why I have trouble going to gigs today, because it just doesn't compare.
No, you can't compare it. Guy at that time were like just unstoppable. And like for my concert that I went to, they the lights had come off, and Hammersmith Apollo, Odeon at the time, they were kicking everybody out. They were trying to get rid of everybody. And then I think it was Teddy. He comes out and says, which song do you want to hear? One last song. And it was between I Like and My Fantasy. And then they did My Fantasy. And just because they wanted to annoy everybody, they sang I Like after that as well. So it was brilliant. It was brilliant. It was a best show. But yeah, you're right.
Good.
Number
who's
7,
next?
we've got DJ who's used up his fourth Teddy Riley.
No.
He's only got one left.
Have I? No, I haven't. Have I?
Yeah, I think you have.
1, 2. No, third. This is the third one.
Is it?
Fourth one.
No, you've done. I'm sure you've done.
I don't know. I think I've messed up my list. I think I've got an extra Teddy Riley track.
No.
Oh, mate.
Oh no.
But I'm going to leave it as is. Let's just carry on.
Oh dear. Well, I'm going to use up my fourth LA and Babyface produced written track. I reckon you three may have. It could be early this, but you three may have not even picked this. It was a big track that year, and I think maybe some of you've forgotten to add this. But it's arguably one of the best ballads of 1989, vocally, song-wise.
Oh.
I'm talking about Babyface. Are these cousins? His brothers, his cousins?
Oh, yeah.
7, Ready or Not, has made my
big tune, man.
Brilliant track. One of my favorites of all time. I'll just leave it at that.
Incredible ballad. Haunting the way they sing that record, the way the chorus comes in.
Yes.
When I was looking at LA and Babyface tracks to put in my top 5, and I saw after 7, I thought, that's got to be in it. How can I leave that one out? Has to be in
it. Okay. What about you, Andy? Sorry,
right,
Andrew.
so this is where we get subjective again. So these are what I was talking about. So this is another LaFace track, and I would have picked another one had it not been for life circumstances. So as you guys know, I won't shove about it. I am in a relatively new relationship, but now it's like almost 2 years. And the name of this person rhymes with the title of this song. So I'm just going to say that even though I used to love Rock With Ya and it would have been in this position, now my heart belongs to Saloni. She's my only lover. She's my only love. My only heart, baby. Yeah, belongs to Saloni. She's my only love. I went a little flat on the sheet. Anyway, Romy is the one for me right now at number, what did I say, seven, for the LaFace. And I think there's only one more LaFace after this. So I wonder if you guys can guess what it is. But anyway.
Oh, he's used his Bobby Brown. He's Bobby Brown. He's didn't even make top 5. Didn't make top 5.
Only get one Bobby.
Wow.
Unless you're VJ and he just decides to
make up my own rules.
Break the rules.
And he's picked Roney, which is a great track.
Rock with Ya is the more timeless track. But let's not get it twisted. But Roney is just, for me now, is like going to be a lifelong song. So
wow.
Makes sense, man.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm Mac.
Okay.
Your comment. Yes, 2.
You're like,
Me too. Year 3. Me too.
Okay. Number 6 for me is definitely a track that I think when I think about this group and I'm looking at it now, because when I remember when these guys came out with this track, it was my awakening when it came to following music. As I mentioned, that I think when Fantasy came out, a friend of mine said, "Do you know the guy who did this, did that?" And that's where the connection was. Because before I used to just, listen to a few songs and just that was it. And a good friend of mine, Shola, was the one that says, "This guy did this track and did that track." And all of a sudden, I'm like, wow, that's how I became a Teddy fan. But around that time, this group and this track came out, and I listened to it. It always takes me back. But I know Stevie just mentioned one track from them, but for me, "Heat of the Moment" by After 7 was
brilliant.
Was just a massive,
well done.
a massive
I'm so
track.
glad you picked that.
It was definitely a massive track, and the fact that they Kevon talks about how they were begging Babyface, "Come on, man, but they were working in a factory and they said, look, we can't do this. Help us, get us a deal." And they said, just wait, we're setting something up. They got signed to Virgin without an audition. They didn't see them. LA Babyface says, "Look, I've got 2 of my brothers and LA's cousin." And they just said, "Yeah, we'll sign them," without seeing them. That's how much faith they had in LA Babyface. And it came out the back hitting, flying with that album and stuff. And they were older, but they had to pretend to be younger. They had to act that they were younger. But that Heat of the Moment, man, oh goodness, massive.
Brilliant song, and the production on that sounds very similar to Bobby Brown's "On Our Own."
Yeah,
very similar in style, production style. So I'd always compare the two and say which do I prefer, but they're both so brilliant. But Heat of the Moment is so underrated.
I think one of the things we can agree is that I think of the 3 production teams, LA and Babyface had a signature that when you heard it, you knew it was them. I think Jimmy and Terry, you couldn't always tell their stuff. I mean, eagle-eye listeners could say, okay, that's a Jimmy and Terry, but to the average person, you'd be like, oh, they did that. And Teddy to some extent, but there was a lot of people copying his stuff. But LA and Babyface, you always knew the drums.
For sure.
And the background singing, you'd always know that this is a LA and Babyface track. But it was comforting because you knew that it was, it was a nice seal of approval on that. Yeah. I don't know if After 7 would have been big if they'd signed to MCA, because MCA had too many artists and they were dropping them like flies. And so they could have just been curtailed if they were on MCA. They may have, but I think being on Virgin just gave them that space because the Virgin didn't have many artists and they were starting new. And I think that's probably why they really were able to help them. But anyway, VJ, what's your next?
So before I say that, Andrew, somebody's asking a question about Tap Into My Heart. I think it's Benson and Irizarry. They're having a conversation about, do you know anything about that song? You might have something to say about it.
I mean, you put me in the spot. No, you put me on the spot. You're gonna have to remind me, dude, because if I
Tap
do
Into My Heart, Tap Into My Heart, the Bobby Brown track.
I mean, remember we talked about it. Remember we asked Bob straight up, like when
we asked Bobby, and Bobby said it's never coming out.
Yeah.
Wow, Bobby said it's never coming out.
Is it the one he performed on MTV with?
Yes. It was supposed to be
Okay.
a mystical magic, that album.
Yeah.
And I think it was just like just too much time had passed, and like it was just like, okay, this style of music, we have to update it, and they had to scrap that whole album and then go with the what they came out with. But at least you can still see it performed, on that. Like, there's a really brilliant Tokyo or Japan concert on YouTube that he did around that time, and man, he was a beast. I just Bobby, dude, like you had to be there. You can watch the videos, but you really had to be there to understand how massive this guy was.
Different planet. And Bobby Brown, very interesting. My number 6 is an LA and Babyface track. This is as obscure as you like it, and I think this should have been a much bigger song. I don't think it was promoted properly, but the production, the vocal arrangement is stunning, and it's a song by a group called Dynasty, and it's called Tell Me, Do You Want My Love?
Wow.
And if you know this song, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's as good as anything LA and Babyface have ever done. It is brilliant. And I don't understand why it wasn't popular. I don't know what happened with the record label. It was released as a single in the US, but I don't think it was marketed properly. If you don't know it, please do check it out. It's definitely worth checking out. And it has no samples, as you'd expect from an LA and Babyface track.
Okay.
You know what? I'm stunned you picked that. I'm up because I thought if I picked that, nobody's heard. It's about 7 minutes. Nobody's heard that record, man.
I didn't care today. I thought I'm just sharing it. I just thought I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say Dynasty. Tell Me, Do You Want My Love? That's my choice, and that's my last LA and Babyface track. It's the highest LA and Babyface ranking in my list. Wow. I love it. I love it so much. A friend mentioned this to me about 5 years ago. A guy called Mandeep, 10 years ago, and I'd never heard it before, and it blew my mind that I didn't know this LA and Babyface production. Absolutely stunning. But anyway, I'll leave it at that. Namdi, you've got to listen to it if you don't know it, and I want to hear your opinion on it.
Great. Okay. Not a problem.
Yeah,
Stevie.
No love lost in the comments this evening. Someone's complaining about the awful AI thumbnail that looks nothing like Teddy Riley. Nothing like Teddy Riley. You know? There's a few auspicious looking characters in that thumbnail logo you put there. Not where you track them out from.
I was like, what's the put your sunglasses back on, like in the back, but I realized I looked over at Teddy looking like M'Baku from like Black Panther.
Yeah, he does. He looks like that guy. Yes, he does. I thought I recognized him. He's in the new Teddy Riley movie.
Yes.
Short intermission here. Short intermission. For those of you that are watching tonight, and we love you all, please, if you haven't already, please hit the like button. The reason why, it goes up the algorithm. If you're watching after during the week this week, hope you're enjoying your week now, and you're catching up on the podcast. Please give us a like. Please give us. It's so important that that we keep this podcast going as it grows. Right, number 6 for me. It's got to be the King of Pop. It's got to be in my top 15. My favorite track off the Dangerous album is Remember the Time. Do we need to say any more about that record? Don't think we do. It's a classic. It's one of my favorite Michael Jackson records of all time. So yeah, number 6 for me. And I know Teddy, Mr. Teddy, are you ready? That's one of his greatest accomplishments, is that track.
Can we just say one more thing about that song?
Of course.
Can we mention Bernard Bell again?
Mm-hmm.
Because him on piano, and him on the keys, man. It's all him, baby. That was magic.
Awesome.
Well, it's funny you say that, because the universe is a very funny place. My number 6 reminds me of the very, 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 very first person to reach out to NJS Forever back in 2002 or 2003. It was 2002. And basically, this individual was a co-writer on Let's Chill, Let's Settle Down, That's What I Want to Do. just me and you. So Let's Chill, co-written by Bernard Bell, Teddy Riley, by Guy, is my Guy card thrown out at number 6. And Bernard Bell's on there, and he also did Remember the Time. We talked about another song that's been talked about a lot on this podcast. I Like the Way, the Kissing Game. So yeah, Bernard Bell and Teddy together were they made magic. So yeah, man, let's chill. There's nothing more to say, I think. Oh, one more thing. Actually, I remember reading somewhere that Teddy had said Let's Chill was Teddy trying to sound like one of his heroes, Jamin Lewis. And I think that explains why the song is so melodic and why there's a little bit more instrumentation behind it. So, yeah.
It's up to you, Nandy, to save Guy tonight, because these two they've blown it. They've not even put it in the top 5. What's going on?
It is funny.
Dearly me.
I mean, Let's Chill is definitely a song that really has resonated with a lot of people, especially, and it was a nice video as well. It showed a different side to Guy. I mean, I always prefer Piece of My Love and Goodbye Love to Let's Chill, but that's subjective and stuff. So that was your. Where's my list now? Okay, so my number 5. So we're in our top 5, and actually, in my top 5, I do have a track from Teddy, Jimmy and Terry, and Babyface, Ellie and Babyface. So I managed to get all 3 of them in my top 5. But number 5 for me is a song. It's already been brought out. A song that people might say these guys were one-hit wonders, but we spoke about songs that just put a smile on your face and songs that just make you feel good. And the Mac Band, Roses Are Red, it is just one of those songs. I mean, I listen to it now and it's just like, wow, it just, I love you for being you. I mean, it's just, and this is where, there's no mistaking that this was Babyface. He always talked about saying that he was too shy to talk to girls, so he put it in his writing. So you can tell that this is him thinking, I want to tell this girl something, but how do I say it? So he's putting it in writing. And LA's the drummer, so he's the dum 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 dum, all the drumming parts and just the So the Mac Band, Roses Are Red. I just thought it was just a song that just came from nowhere. And unfortunately, for those of us, we didn't really see them or hear from them again unless you really studied them. But that was such a massive, massive, massive hit. So last Ellie and Babyface on the list, Mac Band, Roses Are Red. Yes. Okay. VJ.
Number 5, and I think I've screwed up my list. So my apologies. Whatever comes out of my mouth is what comes out of my mouth. So I'm sorry. But my number 5 is Michael Jackson track. And I was going to put Remember the Time. I love that song. But my favorite Michael Jackson song features Akhil Davidson. It's engineered by Jean-Marie Horvat, produced by Teddy Riley. Akhil didn't get any credits on this song until maybe 10 years ago. And I was having a chat with him, and he said he didn't get his publishing credits for that. But that's been resolved now. And it's Michael Jackson, She Drives Me Wild. Absolutely love this song. It uses 2 samples, believe it or not, but not what you'd expect. It's by somebody called Keith Holtzman, and they do sound effects. One is for the Dodge van starting. So if you hear that sound at the beginning, that's a Dodge van starting. And in there's a fire siren as well. And that's also by Keith Holtzman. Samples. I love it. That's my number 5.
And is that you used up? Have you used your 5 teddies now?
I think I have.
Oh, 6.
I think I have. That's 5. That's 5 now.
Oh dear.
So I have to change some things around very, very quickly whilst we're doing the show. otherwise the list is fucked. It's all good. Oh, sorry.
Okay, Stevie.
Number 4 is my
number 5.
My 4th Teddy Riley entry.
No, you said number. Number 4.
Oh, number 5. Sorry, number 5.
Yeah.
Right. Is my 4th Jam and Lewis entry. We're all waiting for the reissue of the vinyl. I don't know when it's coming out. The reissue of this, and will they include Super Lady on the vinyl reissue, which wasn't originally on the original cut of the vinyl? When is this reissue album coming out? Do I need another copy? I've already got a vinyl copy. I've already got a CD copy. I've already got all the 12 inches, but I'll probably buy it anyway. I'm talking about new edition. It isn't Super Lady, by the way. If It Isn't Love has made my number 4. If It Isn't Love.
Oh, nice.
If it isn't, it's just too big not to do. So number 4, If It Isn't Love.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess it is iconic video. Definitely, it is an iconic video, and it's definitely an iconic song, and it's their signature sort of move right now. Then I guess it is stuff that if they did the move, everyone knows where it's from. Definitely a good one. Okay, Andrew.
I'm not foolish enough. Yes, number 5. I am not foolish enough to try to replicate this man's voice. You guys, that should give you a hint. They call them skills. There's individual already know, he joined the group and then was in the front, and Namdi was feeling some kind of way about it. But it is my second. I only have 2 more after this for Jam and Lewis, and this song is called "Giving My All to You" by John Gill. I think Jam and Lewis murdered that track. I think it is a crime of humanity that song was not a single, as far as I know. No video. You were gonna say something, Beach?
It was promoed. So it was a single actual official release in Japan, and it was sent to DJs in the US and Europe, but it never went beyond that. So.
And it kind of reminds me, like, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but for me, it kind of reminds me of Boyz II Men, like in terms of like the vibe of the song, as in the song Boyz II Men from New Edition. And I know Vijay has a very special meaning for you and Mon, but even before, way before learning that, I always thought "Giving My All to You" was just like, it's probably my favorite ballad on the debut album, which is saying a lot because that debut album, or I shouldn't say debut album, the Motown album, is like, man, like you guys were saying, like that album is flawless. So yeah, that's my number 5.
Okay. All right. So goodness, top 4. So this is my last Jam and Lewis track. And I mean, the video is iconic. The feature, but I think when I listened to the album version, I think the album version was over 6.5 minutes. And I thought that this is probably one of my favorite tracks by this artist. And it is All Right by Janet Jackson. I think it is just when you're having so much fun with a track that you just don't want to change, like, oh man, this is just going on, let's just keep playing it, and that's how it just felt like. And then it's like, yeah, I mean, I always loved Heavy D, loved his rap in it, but then listening to just this extended mix on the album, just like, yeah, we're just gonna play this. I love the song, and it's right up there. So it's Jam and Lewis getting in my top 4 with that Janet track.
All right, I got to pile on, man. I mean, you're right. It's like the song just keeps going at the end, and like in the album version, that baby, right? But that's the album version, right? But on the remix, da 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 da. I mean, it just keeps going, and they're having fun, and it's just like horns and chills. That song is just a tapestry of sound and 1990 and the era, and just so I just thank you for bringing up All Right. I could only pick one song. It wasn't that one, but I can't tell you how much I love that song. So thank you.
That-
The video is my favorite Janet video, probably.
Yes, and the thing is, to me, is that it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit the album. I'm not a big fan of Rhythm Nation. Um, I think because the original video was just felt hard. You know, the whole military stuff, the We Are the People and stuff. It felt hard, and of course she had, you know, Miss You Must, you know, all the other tracks and Escapade. So it just seemed like, but for me, All Right was I just, it was amazing, you know, and because I was a massive Heavy D fan, and so for him to feature there and do his rap and do his little dance move and stuff, yeah. Okay, so I've got some regional. I've had to switch my background because I think, you know, people didn't like the ChatGPT version of my background.
Dude,
So,
it's all right, man. You did nothing wrong. It's all good, man.
so I just switched it around. Okay. um, okay.
That's
Who's
your feature,
next?
right?
Me.
Yeah,
Number
VJ.
four.
Yeah, I've just done my number 4.
Or number
So I have
5.
now removed the extra 3 Teddy Riley tracks that I had in my top 5. I had. Remember at the beginning of the conversation, I said I had a top 25, top 28. So we got tracks. Don't worry, and they're all worthy of being in the top bit. So we're good. So my number 4 would have been Bobby Brown's My Prerogative, but it was between that and Every Little Step. And I, as you will know, some of you will know, I grade things on a percentage basis, and both of them I ranked both of them at 96%. So they were level. So I'm going to go with Every Little Step. It's a song
because
I can't do My
another.
Prerogative, and I'm just going to leave it at that. And it is what it is. But Every Little Step is a song that makes me so happy. I've heard it in the most obscure places in the world. I've heard it in a McDonald's in Tokyo. I've heard it in New York. I've heard it in random places because it is a universal track, and it's absolutely brilliant. And LA and Babyface, you forget how much they absolutely nailed their contribution on the Don't Be Cruel album, and that's a big song on there, maybe the biggest. And I love the parody that they did with Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson.
Absolutely brilliant. I loved all that nonsense. So much fun. And I think the world's got a bit serious. I think we need to start having a bit more fun, like how we did
Definitely.
when you heard songs like Every Little Step. But that's my number 4. Sorry, My Prerogative. You're not good enough. No, you are good. You are good enough. I just can't have 8 Teddy Riley tracks in a top 15. So that's what's happened.
Yeah. Daryl Simmons said that when they worked with because they all, you know, Michael had them come do some production, and they did Slave to the Rhythm. But at the time, it wasn't clicking. He didn't like what they were giving them, so he went with the Teddy stuff. They just didn't feel like it was there. But anyway, Every Little Step. But we have to agree that Don't Be Cruel, then Prerogative, made anything that came after it, you know, whether it's Every Little Step, whether it's Roni, it just meant that the album was so big that everything became like, oh, let's just listen to that. But yes, I don't know if I was as big a fan with Every Little Step as I would be with Don't Be Cruel and stuff. But anyway, Stevie.
My number 4 is from the greatest, nobody can argue this, the greatest New Jack Swing group of all time. We've already mentioned them. We've already talked about them. At number 4, gosh. Well, the track I've picked, because it's so hard to pick a track, because there's so many, is the one it has probably stood the test of time, and it's still trending now, even on social media, on TikTok. The Gen Z are aware of this track, and that is I Like.
Nice.
Number 4. That to be a guy track in the top 15.
Big tune, man.
Which
Big
one do
tune.
you pick? I mean, My Fantasy is the one that got me into New Jack Swing, but I think I Like is the one that's evolved and captured the imagination of a whole different generations of audiences. So I've gone with I Like. It's a great song. Great vocal from Aaron Hall.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's in my top 5 anyway.
Beautiful.
Okay. Andrew, what about
All
you?
right. So I'll give you the sun, the rain, the moon, the stars, and the mountains. I'll give you the world. And more than you give for. I don't know the lyrics. And even more. Anyways. Girl, I love you more than you can know. And that's for sure. I'll climb the highest mountains or the widest seas. Nothing will discourage me. And I pray that you'll be always there for me forevermore. Whoa, ready or not. Come on. I'll give you everything
Tune.
and more. I did not
nuts.
attempt Kevon. Nope, not trying it. But man, it was just such a debonair is the word I use. A debonair song.
Yes.
And that came out April, like spring 90 as well, or maybe it was 89. Either way, number 4. So it's funny, Stevie, that you said, I bet you nobody else had it. I'm like, I got something for you, baby. You know, so number 4, Ready or Not, and it's absolutely one of my favorite songs of all time.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Brilliant.
I'm so happy to hear that. Ready or not.
Don't you know that you don't, you should know. I mean,
Yeah, that combination between Kevon and Melvin, you know, he starts it off smoothly, then Kevon. I think, you know, when you think of Boys to Men, how One Year comes at the end with the stuff, but you know, Kevon's, you know, he's just a beast with how he just brings it home. Yes. Okay, top three. And I would say that this, you know, my number 3 is the biggest track from this artist. It was the track that made this artist a multimillionaire, even though the artist just spent all the money. And it has to be Prerogative, Teddy Riley's Prerogative. And he was the one that really said to the world, hey, Teddy did this, not Gene Griffin. You know, it was I would say at the time, I did prefer the Don't Be Cruels and Every Little Step and Roni. They felt a lot more gentler for me. I thought Prerogative just felt like hard to, when I was younger, when I first heard it, it was like, I was shocked that it was a massive track. But you later on, you just listen to, you know, we make this money, right, Ted? And you know, just the fact that he's calling out Ted in the now. Timmy Gatlin did say that Teddy had the beats when they were doing the debut album, the Guy album. He had the beats, but they hadn't penned anything for it, so he had the stuff. But when Timmy left and Bobby came, you know, it was written by Aaron and you know, and those guys wrote it with Bobby for Teddy with Teddy. Yeah, Prerogative, Bobby's biggest song and everything. Yes,
I would have included it, but I can't add any more Teddy tracks. So my Prerogative is a brilliant song. I'm so happy. It doesn't matter who's put the songs or who's suggested the songs. They're all brilliant. And I love that My Prerogative is so high up your list. And Namdi, knowing you the way that I do now, it makes sense that you have given that song that much respect. It totally makes sense to me based on what I know about your ears.
But think about, and I think I went for tracks, especially with my Teddy tracks, that even though I had probably songs that are, you know, One More Chance from the Bobby album is my all-time, one of my top 5 favorite songs ever. But I had to respect the fact that it didn't knock those down like, say, Prerogative. You know, this is me saying Teddy, just when if I'm having him on a list with the 3 other teams, I have to have a song that actually is worthy to say, yes, no one else could touch this.
Namdi, I gotta jump in for a second as well. So on one of my earlier lists, I had Bobby twice and didn't even realize it. And then it was between Until the End of Time. Then someone mentioned One More Night, and I was like, F, you know, because you just mentioned One More Night, and I was like, which one?
Brilliant song. You know?
But then we had a laugh because there's a remix to One More Night that's on the remix of Thea B, which has kind of like a reggae chant and
Reggae,
terrible in my opinion. So every time I think of the One More Night, I think of that one and then it kills it. So that's why Until the Other Time came in. And then Beach was like, which is hilarious because Beach had like 10 Teddy tracks. I'm joking. But like he was like, take off one of your Bobby tracks. I'm like, oh, snap. So I had I get the job done, got thrown in. But yeah, Bobby and Teddy, they did some work.
I think the One More Night remix, the harmonizing, even though the reggae stuff tonight's the night, it wasn't even One More Night, but the harmonizing was really big on that. But that was just production wise, it's just mind blowing what Teddy did there. But I have to say that if someone says Teddy did Prerogative and he did this and did that, they would say, okay, yeah. Anyway. Who's next?
I just wanted to say, if we're talking about My Prerogative, what I would have said if I was talking about it and it did make my list, I would have said that there's no samples on that, and obviously it features the background vocals of Aaron Hall, Big Bub from Today, and Bernard Bell. Bernard Bell is everywhere. He's in a lot more stuff than we give him credit for. So brilliant. My number 3 is from Jam and Lewis. It was supposed to be Rex and Effect, Ready or Not, but we can't have that because I didn't like that song anyway. Forget Ready or Not. No, we're going to have Janet Jackson, and it's going to be from Rhythm Nation, and it's going to be a ballad, and it's going to be Lonely because it's perfect.
Wow.
And Jam and Lewis are outrageously just outrageous. What they do on that song is just nuts. Lonely is a perfect song. You listen to it, you get it. You just can't believe how good it is. It's just. Lonely is the one, man.
It is the one, man.
That's my number 3.
Okay, a nice ballad. Someone was asking Jimmy. Gene Griffin's role was he knew the business, so he knew how to put his name on credits without the artist. Teddy didn't know what was going on until it was too late. He didn't know that he wasn't being signed up for everything. So yes, but anyway, Lonely. Okay, Stevie,
arguably my favorite track off that Rhythm Nation album. Even though when we did that podcast, I picked Miss You Much at number 1. I think Lonely got to number 2, and Namdi and Jack and me couldn't understand what the appeal of that record was. I'm like, go back and listen to it again. Anyway, number 3 for me is my final pick from Jam and Lewis, sadly. And for all you guys out there this evening looking to capture the lady of your dreams or say something that's going to capture a heart, I've got a little tip for you. Now, this could be the corniest chat-up line of all time, or it could be the greatest, but it's co-signed by this artist at number 3. What you need, baby, is a man like me. A man with sensitivity. Hey, try that one. Try that. What you need, baby, is a man like me. A man with sensitivity. Ralph Tresvant in at number 3. What a track that is from old Ralph. One of his best.
Brilliant song.
Amen.
Last Exit to Brooklyn has said that there was a sample on My Prerogative by Remote Control by the Reddings. If that's the case, I stand corrected. Thank you for sharing that.
Okay. Yeah, that's Ralph album. He, 1 minute he's a stone cold gentleman. Next thing he's sensitive, and he's not just an ordinary man. So he's not sure who he is.
The production on that as well. Jam and Lewis had obviously heard what Soul to Soul were doing in the UK. So by the time Sensitivity came out with that groove, they did it better. You know what I mean? You could argue they actually did that sound a bit better. But,
Sensitivity was brilliant, wasn't it? And do you remember the Marvin Gaye? There was a Marvin Gaye remix.
Yes.
What was that? Sexual Healing.
It had like doom doom. It sampled that one song doom doom Inner City Blues. So it had like Inner City Blues, like kind of like interpolated whatever sampled.
Yeah.
It was so good. Yeah, and the Marvin thing was very much a thing with and Larkin Arnold, I believe, was actually one of his managers at the time, and Larkin did manage Marvin as well. So a lot of connections there. But I guess what I'll do is my second to last attempt at singing. But this song kind of goes like, I like the way, I like the way. 1, 2, 3. I like. So number 3 is indeed I Like the Way, the Kissing Game by High Five. I think all 4 of us, I think maybe mentioned this one. If not, at least 3 of us did. Yes, it sounded the least like Teddy to me. Like it didn't, I wouldn't have known it was a Teddy Riley track until I learned it. And it just made me go, wow, like Teddy's got some range. And again, included Bernard Bell, Dave Way. I always wonder if Dave Way had an impact on the name of the song, I Like the Way, right? But Just Can't Handle It was like, I remember seeing the video, bought the album, and was like all about Just Can't Handle It. But then I remember just kind of sitting up after Just Another Girlfriend and going, wait, what's this? You know? And it came out at the perfect time. It was spring. It was spring 90. And then the video comes out, the white background, the dancing. It was perfection. And I Like the Way was probably, I had 2 favorite songs in 1990. And that was I Like the Way, and it was the remix video version of Do Me by BBD. It was those 2 tracks that were my number 1 and number 2. And yeah, man, I can't say enough about I Like the Way, the Kissing Game. It's one of my favorite songs of all time.
Yeah. But think of it, with Dave Way, he was doing, a lot of the stuff with Gad, but it's like Do Me Right. So he gets the credit for doing some production there. And it has that type of Do Me Right was that type of, it wasn't a typical hard Teddy stuff. So I think the foundations were laid to just do something a little bit more light. As I said, it worked, nothing too overcomplicated. Okay. Top 2. So number 2 for me, I would say, so there's a video that I saw, and then I chopped it up and I posted it on IG. This was about 4 years ago or 3 years ago. Of course, I didn't realize that if you don't brand it, it will get somebody else to take it and post it as their own stuff. And it was a video of Babyface talking about the moment he first heard this track, that they were like, oh my goodness, we can't touch this. And so we need to go the opposite direction. This is when LA Babyface made the decision that they can't do New Jack Swing. They need to do something else and stay in a lane that they're comfortable with, because what they heard, it was just too much. The same thing is when I heard Jimmy and Terry talk about when they first heard this track, it was something that they had to pay attention to. Says, what's going on? Who is this kid? And it's a song that I think now it's been played so many times that we can get tired of it. But back in '97, when Keith Sweat came out with I Wanna, it was like, okay, what is this? And we had, this is one of the first times you had a producer all over the track. We had Timbaland do stuff now. It's been a long time and all that stuff. And sometimes Pharrell does it when he's featuring on a track. But that was Teddy all over that I Wanna with Keith. Get it, Teddy just get it up. Yep. She's so bad. And he's speaking, and it's like, where does he get? Teddy didn't want to be on this, didn't want to do this album. He didn't want to work with Keith. He wanted to just stay in his hip hop. And he's getting all excited and he's speaking on this. And this song, as I said, will always be one of a breakthrough song that really shook the industry up, got his rivals riled up. I say rivals, different camps. They listened and they responded differently. But I Want to Keep Sweat, Teddy Riley's masterpiece, is at number 2 for me.
Again, I love that it's in your higher echelons of your list, and it makes so much sense. Gone for the big tunes, man. And even you, Andrew, you had High Five at number 3, was it?
Yep.
And Andy, you had was it number 2? Number 3, you had My Prerogative, and number 2, you got
My Prerogative.
It makes sense, man.
Yeah.
It's great. I love it.
Okay, Veej, you're number
So
two.
I wanted to say a couple of people have been talking about Babyface, I Love You, Babe. I wanted to put that in my list. I really did. If I was going to put a solo up-tempo Babyface track, solo track, I Love You, Babe would be it. But this particular show is 87 to 92. A few of you also mentioned lots of remixes. If we could have added remixes, Jane Child, Don't Want to Fall in Love would be in there. There'd be a lot of songs that we'd want to put in there, but the rules are the rules, and 86 was the cutoff period. And I mentioned this before, I couldn't include any SOS band tracks, and that kills me because Jam and Lewis, they defined the Jam and Lewis sound for me. SOS band was everything. So with that said, my number two is a Jam and Lewis cut. It was my first dance with my wife at my wedding reception, and it's Johnny Gill's Giving My All to You, produced by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis and Randy Rand. I cannot say enough about Randy Rand. That boy died too young because he had so much talent, man. And he had a Stevie, what was that song? Tripping, Rick something.
Rick Ran and Dan.
Rick Ran and Dan. That was it. Absolutely.
Was he in that group?
Yeah, he was.
Was that him? Was that him? I didn't even know that.
That was him.
Wow.
How cool is that? Yeah, but Giving My All.
Was he Dallas Austin's best friend?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the one that he was supposed to be the producer
And
with. Okay.
Giving My All to You, I would say, is Johnny's counterpart to Ralph's I'm Coming Home. So they are two songs which are twinned. You know, you got cities that are twinned. You got Birmingham here, and you got some other place which is twinned with Birmingham or whatever. Those two songs are twinned. They are connected forever. One is Johnny, one is Ralph. Both of them excellent. Both of them make my top 15. Giving My All to You, my number two. Done.
Okay. I didn't realize you guys liked that song that much. Okay. Stevie.
My number two, gosh, this was a tough one. Because if I look at the New Jack era in terms of ballads, I place this higher than After Seven's Ready or Not. I've not even included Johnny Gill, My. This is arguably one of the greatest New Jack ballads of that era. I've even included higher than, say, Bobby Brown, Roney, and Rock With You. But I'm going back to that Keith Sweat album, which had I Want Her, which, for me, as big as that track was at the time, I can have a love-hate relationship with that track. I don't know if it just does sound dated. I Want Her Now. That sounds very dated, even though it's still a bit of a classic. But for me, Make It Last Forever, one of the greatest New Jack era duets of the time.
Yeah.
At number two, and it's my final Teddy. Teddy includes that 5, so he doesn't make it number one. But Make It Last Forever, he just has to be my top 5. It's a track that'll last forever. It will last forever. It'll stand the test of time.
Fantastic.
Okay.
And it's interesting with that. I'm sure we had this conversation before, but Make It Last Forever on Spotify ranks much higher than I Want Her. Much higher. Like, there's no comparison. Like, a lot more people listen to Make It Last Forever than. And
I'm still stunned that Jackie McGee put it at number 5 in her top 8.
I love that. I love that so much. I love that. That was great.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Andrew, what's your second
Stevie,
one?
you messed me up, dude. Yeah, that was a glaring omission. I'm already looking at my list, and numbers would have changed if I had remembered Make It Last Forever. How could I associate it too much with Keith Sweat versus just Teddy being behind it. So whatever. Got to live with my decision. All right, number 2 for me. Number 1 and number 2, actually, they duke it out all the time for me as far as number 1. And when I was making the list, my number 2 was going to be number 1. But then I had to rethink it, play them back to back. And number 1 edges out number 2 by just this much. And then when you get to my number 1, I'll explain the weird thing. It does not make sense. And you guys will understand what I'm talking about in a second. But anyway, when I get to number 1, my number 2 was mentioned by somebody else. It is Jammin' Lewis. It's my second last Jammin' Lewis. And it features a Spanish guitar. Someone mentioned that it segued perfectly into Come Back to Me, which segues perfectly into Someday It's Tonight. And that song I love so much that when I finally heard it, because I wasn't rich, so I didn't get Rhythm Nation until like 1993, I think. I knew all the songs, but I didn't have it physically until 1993. When I first heard this song, I was actually slightly mad at everyone I knew. How could you not show me this song? Like, you guys all have terrible music taste. How is this possible? Lonely. Wow. Lonely by Janet Jackson, produced by Jammin' Lewis, number 2, and could easily have been number 1. If that's
big tune, man.
Wow.
Big tune. I love it. I love it.
You see, Namdi, you know what I mean? You dismiss that completely. You see the effects of that track. Oh, wicked.
It was like, it might as well, another, maybe in a year or 2, it could be number 1. But my number 1 is like, I'll wax poetic. It might be cliched, but whatever. Number 2, Lonely, and that's that.
It hits deep. That really hits deep, that track for me. It hits deep, doesn't
it? Okay. Well, we're now down to the final one. So I'm just going to go through my 15 before I get to number 1. But at number 15, I had Criticized by Alexander O'Neal, produced by Jimmy and Terry. 14, I had Love You the Right Way, Johnny Gill, produced by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. 13, Optimistics, produced Sounds of Blackness, produced by Jimmy and Terry. 12 was Die My Heart, The Boys, produced by LA and Babyface. Number 11, You're Not My Kind of Girl, New Edition, Jimmy and Terry. 10 was Rock With You, Rocksteady, The Whispers, LA and Babyface. 9 was Kissing Game, High Five, produced by Teddy. 8 was Secret Rendezvous, Karen White, LA and Babyface. 7 was Just Got Paid, Johnny Kemp, Teddy Riley. Number 6 was Heat of the Moment, After 7, that's LA and Babyface. Roses Are Red, Mac Band, LA and Babyface. Number 4 was All Right, Janet Jackson, and that was also Jimmy and Terry. Number 3 was My Prerogative, Bobby Brown by Teddy Riley. Number 2 was I Want Her, Keith Sweat, produced by Teddy Riley. And number 1 was the song that defined the era. It was a song that that made the late what's his name? Michael. I've forgotten the journalist's name. Who coined New Jack City? New Jack Swing. Barry Michael Cooper. So this was the song that he just listened to, and he said, I've got to give it to an era and a generation. Groove Me by Guy. It is just the song that just really said, okay, this is something new. This is what the guys in the streets were like, okay, what's this? This was it. This was the groove, the funk, the whole thing all wrapped in one. And this is definitely, I think Teddy was just like, I'm just getting started there. Now, Timmy wrote it. He says when Teddy he said when he heard the beat, the production, he was like, okay, Teddy, I'm just going to get a pen and paper and I'm going to write to the song. And he wrote it. It would have been amazing to understand what the history of Teddy and Guy would have been if Timmy was still there. Because he was before there was because Teddy writes the music but not the lyrics. And so he needs a Bernard Bell or Tammy to write the lyrics. But that was Timmy. Timmy was the lyric guy. And so when you think of the Guy album, Teddy would come up with the beats and Timmy would write the songs to it. So, Groove Me, Guy, my final Teddy song at number 1.
Fantastic choice, brother. Really love that you've chosen that. I think Reggie Hudlin directed that video, if I'm not mistaken.
Very cool.
Which Reggie's the man. Like,
yes,
we've got long-standing relationship with him, and he he directed that. But that was what, as who said that? Hopeful just said that Groove Me is the one that kicked it all off, and massive tune.
Salute.
Okay, VJ.
Okay, indulge me for a moment. I'm just going to quickly share songs that didn't quite make my top 15. Guy Her was one I wanted to have it in there. Alexander O'Neill, Criticize. Michael Jackson, Remember the Time. Bobby Brown, My Prerogative. Boyz II Men, End of the Road, I think needed to be in there, but sorry. Alexander O'Neill, Thank You for a Good Year. Johnny Gill, Rub You the Right Way. Sounds of Blackness. Oh, sorry. Johnny Kemp, Just Got Paid. I wanted to have that in there. Pebble's Girlfriend didn't make my top 15, which blows my mind. I just don't understand how that didn't make it. New Edition, If It Isn't Love. My number 15 was Mint Condition, My Dear. 14, Keith Sweat, I Want Her. 13, The Whispers, Rocksteady. 12, New Edition, I'm Coming Home. Number 11, I Like the Way, Kissing Game. Number 10, The Mac Band featuring the McCampbell Brothers, Roses Are Red. Number 9 was Alexander O'Neill, The Lovers. Number 8 was Heavy D and the Boys, Is It Good to You? Number 7 was Teddy Riley featuring Guy, My Fantasy. Number 6 was Dynasty, Tell Me Do You Want My Love. Number 5 was Michael Jackson, She Drives Me Wild. Number 4 was Bobby Brown, Every Little Step. Number 3 was Janet Jackson, Lonely. Number 2 was Giving My All to You. And my number 1 is a song that when you're down, when you're feeling like you're in a bad, like people don't talk about mental health enough. If I'm in a really dark place and I hear this song uplifts me like that. And that's why my number 1 is Sounds of Blackness, Optimistic. Yeah. Wow. It is just pure, just feel good music. And it just takes me I go from 0 to 100 miles an hour, just like that. You hear that first chord, you're done. It is perfect. But because you're all wondering what was my original number 1, that was Bubba, I Like Your Style. But forget about that. Optimistic, Sounds of Blackness. Brilliant song.
Brilliant.
Definitely good classic track. Okay, Stevie.
15 was Pebble's Girlfriend. 14, Janet Jackson, Miss You Much. 13, Karen White, The Way You Love Me. I'm the only person who picked that. Number 12, Johnny Gill, Rub You the Right Way. 11, Bubba, I Like Your Style. I was the only... Wow, VJ had it originally at number 1. Number 10, Mac Band, Roses Are Red. Sounds of Blackness at number 9 with Optimistic. High Five, I Like the Way. Number 7, after 7, Ready or Not. Michael Jackson at number 6 with Remember the Time. Number 5, New Edition, If It Isn't Love. Number 4, Guy I Like. Number 3, Ralph Tresvant, getting his sensitivity, Barry White groove on there. Number 2, Keith Sweat and Jackie McGee, Make It Last Forever. My number 1. Now Namdi says that Guy Groove Me defined that era. Well, yeah, it did. But this artist definitely defined that era. And I got to say, Ellie and Babyface have won my top 15. So which artist could be at number 1? I've not even mentioned him yet.
I know who it is.
When I heard My Prerogative at the time, I'll be honest, and I've said this on other podcasts, I wasn't sure about it at the time. It's like nothing I'd heard. I love it now, but the one track that did get me and blew my head away, and I didn't even know it was New Jack Swing. Some people argue it's not even New Jack Swing. I still say it is, but that's for another podcast. But I'd heard nothing like it at the time, and that set me off again. I just wanted to hear more tracks like it. But it's Don't Be Cruel, Bobby Brown. Easily. Nice. Pick. Could only be at number 1 for me.
Brilliant.
To me, Bobby Brown defined that era. Don't Be Cruel defined that era. I think that was the biggest track of that era to me.
And interesting you say that. A friend of mine who submitted a list, he said that he believes Don't Be Cruel is arguably the best R&B track of all time.
Wow.
The video, the dancing, the style, he's rapping it. It was perfection. Production. It's just utterly 5-6 minutes of perfection, that record.
Yeah. He looked cool in that video with that Mercedes in the background.
That keyboard sound as well.
Sure.
That on the mid-8, the keyboard sound. I don't think that's never been heard in another track before. I don't know what it was. Only Ellie and Babyface could tell me what that sound they got. It's never been used in another track.
Oh yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
when he's doing like the dance.
Listen to that keyboard. I don't think I've ever heard that in another track.
Like it's good call, man. Good call. All right, man. So first of all, the way you love me by Karen White was absolutely on my original drafts. So I want to make sure that I call that out. All right. So at number 15 for me, it was Juicy by Rex and Effect. I'm surprised that no one, I said Rex and Effect the way Teddy used to say it. Anyway, I'm surprised no one else put Rex and Effect in there anywhere, but it's all good, whatever. Number 14, In the Closet, Michael Jackson. Number 13, Optimistic. I want to say one more thing about that song. I'm fairly certain when I was listening to it with my headphones, you're hearing like bass line, like things happening. They're just so subtle, kind of like an I'm Coming Home, where it's just like Jam and Lewis are such geniuses. They hide all this cool melody in like the bass line. So I just want to just call that out because I think people should listen to that. Number 12, Always by Pebbles. Number 11, Sunshine by my God, Alexander O'Neal. Number 10, I Get the Job Done, Big Daddy Kane. Number 9, Knocked Out, Paula Abdul. Number 8, Soon as I Get Home, Babyface. Number 7, The Truth About Roni, Bobby Brown. Number 6, Let's Chill, Guy. Number 5, Giving My All to You, Randy Rand and Johnny Gill, and of course, Shaman Lewis. Number 4, Ready or Not. Number 3, I Like the Way, The Kissing Game, High Five. Number 2, could have easily been number 1, Lonely, Janet Jackson. And at number 1, originally at number 1, it was one song. But then I had to give it to the other song. And then it's like, it's not fair and it doesn't make sense. But if you're asking me about the albums they come from, one song is my favorite. But if you ask me outside of that context, it's the other song. So after listening to it and after learning on Sean Stockman's podcast that originally Ricky Bell's part where it goes, and I want you, and I need you, and I love you, girl, is supposed to be Johnny Gill. Like Johnny actually recorded that, but then he gave it to Ricky. But it makes sense because that way you have more diversity. It is Can You Stand the Rain. Originally, it was going to be I'm Coming Home. And if you ask me again, my favorite song of Heartbreak, it's I'm Coming Home. But my favorite song outside of Heartbreak, it's Can You Stand the Rain. It is number 1. Lonely and Can You Stand the Rain are always fighting for number 1 and number 2. I'm being dramatic, but I love them both. But it's Can You Stand the Rain? Johnny, Ralph, Ricky, Mike comes in. Come on, baby. Let's go get wet. Then Johnny, then Ralph, and then Johnny, and then Rain. Do I love this song? Yes, I do. Thank you. Yes, that's my number.
Wow.
Very nice, man.
Proper hardcore list tonight, yours, Knight. Proper hardcore.
I think one of the things you noticed that I'm the only one that didn't put any ballads on my list. I was the only one that didn't put any ballads because but although it wasn't like we weren't talking about hardcore New Jack Swing.
No, Boys to Men, End of the Road. I thought you might have picked that one, Namdi.
No. I mean, even with I wanted to get more up tempo and upbeat stuff. It's been a long one, guys. We normally don't come. I miss some of you. I'm surprised you're still here.
DJ's got one more list though.
Yeah, the big one.
Do that quickly before we get out of here.
All right. Shout out to Dan, Renge, Mandy, Brandon, Paul, Zach, Raj. Thank you, everybody. I also wanted to share something. There is another bit of analysis I did today, and it's a breakdown of the artists with who had the most different tracks submitted. So Bobby Brown was number 1. He had 6 different songs submitted. Don't Be Cruel, Every Little Step, My Prerogative, One More Night, Roni, and Two Can Play That Game were all submitted by different people. Wow. The second was Guy, who had 5 tracks. Her, I Like, I like Let's Chill. You Can Call Me Crazy. And there was another song. I've missed it. I don't know where that's gone. Michael Jackson also had 5 with In the Closet, Jam, Remember the Time She Drives Me Wild, and Why You Want to Trip on Me. And I'll only mention the Johnny, New Edition, and Janet. I'll leave it at that. Johnny had Feel So Much Better, Giving My All to You, My, Rub You the Right Way. New Edition had Can You Stand the Rain, I'm Coming Home, If It Isn't Love, and Any Heartbreak. And Janet had Lonely, Love Will Never Do Without You, Miss You Much, and Rhythm Nation. So down to the list, there are 69 different songs. I will not share them all with you, but I'm going to count down from 28. And 28 is more like 40 because there are a lot of songs which are joint at particular positions. So at joint 28 is New Edition, Any Heartbreak, and Michael Jackson's Jam. As is Guy, I Like. Number 27 is Whip Appeal. Joint at number 25 is Ralph Tresvant's She's My Love Thing and Karen White's Secret Rendezvous. 23 joint is Janet Jackson, Rhythm Nation, and Guy's You Can Call Me Crazy. Joint 21 is TLC's Baby, 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 and Karen White's The Way You Love Me. Number 20 is Keith Sweat's I Want Her. Joint 16th is Whitney Houston, I'm Your Baby Tonight. Teddy Riley featuring Tammy Lucas, Is It Good to You? Keith Sweat, Make It Last Forever, and Johnny Gill's My, My, My. 15th is Ralph Tresvant, Sensitivity. Joint 13th is Michael Jackson, Remember the Time, and Boyz II Men, End of the Road. Number 12 is Teddy Riley.
14.
Sorry? No, they're joint. They're joint. They're joint.
So it takes up 2 spaces. Yeah.
There's 2 at 13, so you get rid of the 14. My maths isn't that bad, just in case. Number 12, Teddy Riley featuring Guy, My Fantasy. Number 11, Sounds of Blackness, Optimistic. Joint 8th is Janet Jackson, Lonely, and I Like the Way by High Five, and Bobby Brown's My Prerogative. Number 7 is Giving My All to You by Johnny Gill. Number 6 is Don't Be Cruel. Joint 4th is the Mac Band featuring the McCampbell Brothers, Roses Are Red, and Alexander O'Neill, The Lovers. Number 3 is After 7, Ready or Not. And there's a joint number 1. Joint number 1 is New Edition, Can You Stand the Rain? And Bubba, I Like Your Style.
Wow. Interesting.
That's your lot.
How did Alexander O'Neill, The Lovers, make? What number did that make?
Top 5? I think a few people.
Really?
People,
More people? I'm stunned at that.
Yeah, a few people picked The Lovers. I was very surprised by that. I mean, I had it, and a few other people had it. But
how many people picked Janet Lonely apart from you two then?
I don't know. I can't remember.
So more than 2 picked Janet Lonely.
Definitely.
Wow. I'm stunned.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, somebody said in the comments, Lonely and the instrumental is still on my playlist. And I'm like, exactly. That instrumental, I just found it on YouTube at one point, and it's just gorgeous.
Where did that instrumental come from on YouTube? Where did it come from? Have they AI that and took the vocal out or something?
Might be AI, but then I think...
it was before the AI came out.
What was that Janet and Johnny song, Skin Games? I think it was on a B-side to Come Back to Me.
What, the instrumental?
No, they had an instrumental of Skin Games. I
think.
But
Lonely. I've never seen the instrumental of Lonely.
Yeah, no, it's not an official release.
Might be unofficial. Yeah, maybe unofficial.
Either way, brilliant song.
Wow.
You did it.
Okay, well, it is. This has been 2.5 hours of pure fun and magic. We want to thank every single one of you guys for stopping by. Those who's able, it's the replay would have all the comments. But if those who want to watch the replay, we want to thank our special guests who showed up throughout the podcast, and that was Darkchild, Rodney Jerkins, as well as John Marie Hubbard, who actually did work with Rodney on the Invincible album with Michael. We want to thank every single one of you guys who are putting in comments throughout.
Stay with us for 2.5 hours. That is incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And Mac, DJ All Day, Last Exit to Brooklyn, Ezra. Thanks you guys. We definitely always appreciate it. It's a long episode. Next week we have Diary of a Madman. Is
2
it
weeks,
next week,
I think.
or is it the week after? In 2 weeks.
No,
time.
next week
Okay.
is Bobby Brown's King of Stage album. Why am I laughing? I don't
So
know.
in my
Because that's going to be a tough one.
yeah, that's hard. Yes, but anyway, hopeful Marco, Low Tone Capone, all you guys, Richard Ashcroft, all you guys who we appreciate every one of you. The comments are also really important because it's we all we all three of us, all four of us read them and respond to them.
Please put your
accordingly.
top fit in the comments after the show. In the comment, put your top 10s or 15s in. What did you pick from this?
Yeah, that would be
So
good
we
for
can
us.
read them all. That'd be, if you got time to do that, give us your top 15s. See if we missed any tracks. I'm sure there'll be a few that we've missed or not mentioned.
We've missed a few, I think. And you know that Richard Ashcroft is I don't know. I'm just thinking of Richard Ashcroft from The Verve for some reason. that couldn't be him, could it?
No.
He lives around the corner from here. So
Really?
I don't know. I don't know. Unlikely, but yeah.
But Rex and Effects Juicy, is that the what's probably been the oddest pick tonight out of the top 15s? Probably Andrew Knight's Juicy Rex and Effects. That's
Juicy
probably
was a good one. That was a
unpredictable pick.
great.
That so he probably wins an award for that one.
No, but it's a great choice. It's like
it is, but like I say, it's an odd one. That you wouldn't have thought of that one. I don't think. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, we appreciate you. Yes, we do have King of Stage, but then in 2 weeks' time, it is the Diary of a Madman, which would be another fun one as well. He says no,
it's all right,
him,
Richard.
sorry.
It's all good. We had fun with you, all of you. That's been
So much fun.
All right, guys. So we appreciate everyone, and please, as Stevie says, you can watch this back again live and everything. But also, you just never know who's watching. That's why this channel. We only celebrate. We're not tearing people down. That's what makes it safe for people like Darkchild and even John Marie to show up and watch and listen, knowing that they're going to be appreciated as well. As I said, it wouldn't surprise me if Jimmy or Terry has commented on stuff I've done in the past, so that's why I said it wouldn't surprise me if he had tuned in.
And Keith
But
Andrews.
anyway, yes, Keith. Yes, I know he said he was going to watch, but he didn't want to comment. So we appreciate everyone. So we will be back and just keep on celebrating R&B and stuff. So from VJ, Stevie, and Andrew, and myself, we'll see you guys later.
One love.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of Halftime Chat. Please remember to subscribe, share, and comment. But most importantly, why don't you become a member of Halftime Chat? We've got amazing videos, amazing perks, and being able to support the channel. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.
I never participated in that kind of.
And somewhere in between
us, or even loving us, on which I didn't miss you with.
What was it like growing up?
She's still making an impact on 4 houses down.
I have a couple of pieces.
trying to get this one and that one.
That works for you, but just for me,
No. Okay.
They understand what those boys and men are.
Play it.